Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Benzinga Live. You guys like my late night radio voice? That was my late night hotline voice.
I'd call Spencer.
Thank you, Aaron. A producer AT in the background. What is up, everybody? How we doing? Happy Wednesday. Happy CPI day. We'll talk about inflation today. We're going to talk about inflation. Is it getting worse? Is it not getting worse? How do we know? And what does the market have to say about that? So that's going to be like the headline theme of the day. We also are going to talk about GameStop. Why? Because tomorrow marks the 1 year anniversary. It's been a year already. A 1 year anniversary of when the squeeze squoze, of when the GameStop short squeeze started. 1 year ago tomorrow, shares of GameStop went up like $30. We'll talk all about that. And if that means anything for them. Maybe it means nothing, but I've noticed GameStop is like a #1 trending stock each of the last 3 days. It was not always that way. So that being said, holler at me in the chat. I see Tiny Pie there. To answer Tiny Pie's question, no, is not producer Rohan in the chat. Fun fact, producer Rohan is actually not here right now because he is driving in a Rivian. And he's going to tell us all about that, I think, tomorrow or maybe next week, about what that experience was like for him. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about inflation. We'll talk about GameStop. We will play Wordle. I did not yet play today's Wordle. If you don't know what Wordle is, if you weren't here yesterday, well, that's fine. That's great. I can't wait to play with you guys because it's a fun game. So you know what to do. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends. And I got AB with me. Let's roll that intro. This is Benzinga Live. Spencer Israel and producer AB. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Someone told me buy high, sell higher.
Let's get Matt Hammond on the show to talk some IPOs. Jake Wujasek from Trend Spider. We have a breaking news. Hey, what's up, Shelly? What's up, baby? How we doing?
I'm good, Spencer. How are you?
I'm good. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. I'm just trying to get over the hump, man. Over the hump.
Hump day. Hump day is our favorite day at Benzinga.
Yes. It's Luke Jacoby's favorite day, which means it's all of our favorite days. Right? Is that right?
Yeah. Happy Luke. Happy.
Is Luke around? Does he want to do the hump? He's not. I think he's on a call.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Luke's busy sometimes.
Yeah. You can never quite know with Luke. Is he busy? Does he want to come on? Does he not want to come on? Never really know with him. He just kind of YOLOs it the entire time. But anyway, I already teased the show today. It's going to be a day to talk about inflation. It's going to be a day to talk a little bit about GameStop. I should probably tell you who our guests are going to be, so let me do that right now. Our first guest coming up at noon ET or somewhere thereabouts is going to be Rod Alzmann. Aaron, this is a guy who was like neck deep in the GameStop stuff last year, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think what we saw last year, Spencer, was a lot of people obviously got into trading on the retail investing side. The GameStop and then the subsequent AMC story brought a lot of people into it, and there were a lot of, so-called experts on Reddit, Twitter, wherever. But if I'm talking GameStop experts, Rod's the first one that comes to mind. I mean, Rod, we can talk about this once Rod comes on at noon. But Rob started his website. Rod, not Rob. Rod started his website, GMEDD.com, which DD, of course, stands for due diligence. I want to say like a year before the short squeeze, was basically like...
Really? That I didn't know.
I think so. We'll ask how kind of far in advance that he started that research, but basically pointed out that hey, there could be some deep value, no pun intended, some deep value here in this stock, and kind of was a pioneer in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, people. I think we forget, but that's how this whole thing started. It was people what's the guy's name on Reddit? Thank you.
Deep fucking value.
Yeah, deep fucking
Roaring
value.
Kitty.
Roaring Kitty. Why could I not remember what that was?
But,
People like Rod. People like Roaring Kitty.
People like Rod and Roaring Kitty.
Yeah.
And to Rod's credit, Rod stayed true to his DD throughout the whole, GameStop short squeeze. Because Rod's whole thesis essentially was, and Roaring Kitty's as well, that, okay, this is getting incredibly undervalued. There's still more short interest coming in. Eventually, these shorts will have to cover. And then when that all played out, it's not like Rod was some shill out there saying, yeah, go buy GameStop at $300 a share or whatever. He was actually kind of saying the opposite. Like, my whole thesis was that this was so undervalued. Now it's getting overvalued. So I personally enjoyed seeing Rod kind of like stay true to his DD. But again, we can talk more with him about that here in a few minutes.
So that'll be at noon. We're going to be joined by Evert Knight, who is vice president at Valens at 12:30. We'll be talking pot with Mr. Knight. We'll be talking to Jesse Kaylor at 1 o'clock from Elite Trading, and we're talking to Cowboy from Simba Bets at 1:30 on today's show.
And Brett Simba might join us too. He might not. Who knows? But if he doesn't, we'll still have a great time with Cowboy. We'll talk some. I'm excited to talk to Cowboy about some NFL playoffs preview for betting on that. So I don't know what percentage of our audience out there right now, also dabbles in sports investing in addition to stock market investing.
Yeah.
But let us know in the chat.
Yeah. Holler at us. I'm a total noob on the sports betting front. Like I have like 3 or 4 apps, and I go on them like, I don't know, once a month or once every other month, and I throw a couple YOLO bets on. But I'm like a total sports betting noob.
I had some house money on my DraftKings app the other night.
I love house money.
I know house money's so fun.
It's the easiest to lose.
I know. I have no regard for it. I'll just throw it around like it's nothing. Like it's Monopoly money.
It is Monopoly money.
I know. And
what do you mean? Like
every there were like 3 separate occasions during the national championship game on Monday night between Georgia and Alabama, where Alabama would like go down, and then the odds would be like Alabama plus 150 to win the game, and I was like, yeah, Alabama's gonna win this game. They're gonna come back, and I ended up like $250 deep on Alabama winning the game, which of course they did not. But then I had solace in the fact that, hey, that was house money. That wasn't even.
It wasn't even real.
It wasn't even real.
It's like Bitcoin. It wasn't even real money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Bitcoin, I do want to do a crypto update, but I'm having a hard time right now.
Of course. Well, we'll give you some time on that. Shelly's saying she does political betting. There are a few different kind of apps, websites out there. Predictit.org.
Yeah, is that what I'm thinking of? We'll have to like table that until October, right? Because then the midterms are in November.
Yeah,
right?
but if you're into that sort of stuff, I would say now is like a time where you can. There's probably some like value out there where, once we get closer, I think it's a lot clearer with exit polls and or not exit polls, but with just polling in general. It's a lot clearer who's gonna win. So now, if you have an idea, I don't know.
I mean, I have absolutely no idea, but I would gladly throw some money around on Predictit.
Yeah, like this is interesting right here. So here's what I'm saying, Spencer, is that right now we can bet on the 2024 Republican nominee for president, and Trump,
too early.
And Trump's the favorite. But what I'm saying is after the midterms, there's going to be, it might be a little bit clearer. I don't know, maybe not for the.
I don't know.
Like, let's see if there's anything interesting in here.
I feel like the midterms are coming up in 10 months, 11 months. That's what I'm interested. I think that would be more fun. It's more actionable, right? I don't want to place a bet and then have to wait like a year and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, okay, right here, what will the balance of power in Congress be after the 2022 midterms? Right now, you can get for 69 cents,
of course,
Republicans win the House and Senate. And then by the time November rolls around, that could be 90 cents. If it looks like, it's for sure going to happen, that's going to happen, that now it might be time to get into some of these things before the prices get skewed.
Yeah. Okay, maybe you have a point. All right, let's do a quick crypto update, and then I want to get to CPI and we'll talk about inflation. But there was a crypto thing today that I want to. Did you guys see this rumor about Sheeb? That there was a tweet from Breaking Crypto that Robinhood is going to list Shiba Inu as early as February. Shiba Inu is up, 13% today on that headline. That's all that tweet right there. That's all Breaking Crypto. So you can see Sheeb, dark green. It's actually a great day for crypto as a group, and we'll get into why that is in a second. But Bitcoin up 2%. That's kind of your laggard, right? Ethereum up 4%. Binance Coin up 4%. Solana. Nice to see Solana do well. I feel like it's been a tough few weeks there. Cardano up almost 9%, 8.5% today for Cardano. So you see green across the heat map there in crypto land. This is mainly, I suspect, my best guess here, is that this is a reaction to two things. It's a reaction to, one, the fact that crypto has been weak for the past couple of days and weeks, and two, for whatever reason, the market has decided that crypto is now an inflation hedge, because inflation came out today and it's persistent as we knew it would be, and so crypto. If you look at when they started going higher today, it coincides with 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is when the CPI release came out, when we got the inflation data for December. So crypto is now an inflation hedge. I mean, some people have always said that, but it doesn't always act like one. Today it's acting like one. So that's something for you, which is nice. But anyway, wait, what is FTM? What is this guy? I don't know if I've seen that before. Phantom, up 17% today. All right. And then we have to check out our near, obviously. Our near protocol is still in the green. Near now up. Come on. Where's my there we go. Near now up 94% in the last 30 days. Good job, everyone who's long that. Neither of us are. If you own near, tell us in the chat what your plan is. I would love to know. As a reminder, if you want free Bitcoin, it's very easy to get. All you have to do is download the Voyager app, enter their offer code that's on the screen right now, ZING. Fund your account with $100. Make a trade, any trade, and they will give you $50 in Bitcoin for free. All right. Next thing I want to do, as I check on the chat and see what I'm missing there, is I wanted to show everyone where, for future reference, where to go to learn about CPI. You can go on Benzinga Pro, you can go on Twitter, but I want to go to the actual source. I want to go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, bls.gov. And in this case, I went to bls.gov/CPI. And that brought me to this page. This is your CPI homepage, okay? This is where all of the news algorithms and all the news organizations, this is what they are scraping every month on the second Wednesday of the month at 8:30. This is the page they're scraping. And this little box here is the box that gets updated, right? At 8:30. Usually it's like 8:30 and like 10-20 seconds. It's never at 8:30 on the dot. But anyway, let's go into this release. And I'd have to. There we go. Okay, so let's go into this release here. So this is the headline number you guys saw by now. CPI up 7% on a year-over-year basis, and let's show you how we know that. So this first paragraph here, right? A 0.5% increase. That's month over month, right? A 0.5% month over month increase December compared to January. And then that last sentence there in the first paragraph, over the last 12 months, all items increased 7% before seasonal adjustment. So year over year is usually what people refer to. You see 7% inflation. Things are 7% more expensive in December of 21 than they were in December of 20. Now, let's drill down into the specific, and I'll make this way bigger so y'all can see. How about that? It's a little better, right? Okay. All items, that top row, 7%. We already went over that, okay? Now, they break it down by sector, right? Food, energy, we got like vehicles, we got apparel, we got services. There's not a lot here that is really different, and that's probably the biggest takeaway from this report is that it was pretty much in line with the trend, right? The trend of the last 7 months, 5, 6, 7 months. Inflation is going higher. It's not going higher by a lot, but it is increasing, right? It is increasing. And I believe the prior the November reading was like 6.8% headline inflation. So we went from 6.8% in November to 7% in December. So it is going higher, but it's not going higher at in an astronomical pace, but it is still going higher, and that's obviously a problem, right, for a lot of people. So in terms of individual sectors, there's not a lot that's new here. We all know that gas prices are way higher now than they were a year ago. So energy is that sticks out like a sore thumb here. Gasoline, fuel oil, that all sticks out like a sore thumb. We all experience that at the pump every single week, right?
Well, wait, they said gas was one of the things that's actually gone down.
So okay, it's possible. The one thing that this doesn't show is it does show it. I stand corrected. Yeah, you can actually look at this second to last column, right, which shows December compared to November compared to October, right? So it actually did go down, right, month over month to month.
I haven't looked into these numbers real quick, but just looking at it real quick, I mean, you can see in December 21 column that 3.5% for used cars and trucks. 1.7 for apparel. I think that was the big. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. Used cars and trucks and new vehicles are really the components that are driving the inflation higher than a lot of other things.
Yeah. So the good news on the gas front, as we put it on that, the good news is it went down from November, but the bad news is a lot of people just look at this last far right column and they see gas prices are 41% more expensive than they were a year ago, but you're right. It did tick down last month. Now, used cars and trucks is also like the other ground zero for this. So a 3.5% increase in used cars and trucks month over month. Not great. Apparel is very notable because why? December, right? The end of the holiday shopping season. Apparel went up. That's notable. And those are kind of your biggest takeaways from this. For me, all in all, it was a relatively quiet food. Food is quiet, right? I mean, year over year, food prices are up 6%, right? And month over month, they're up 0.5%.
That's why I think these numbers, and anytime you delve like deeper into the information and try to get a better understanding of something. A lot of times I find that it makes things less scary. Like seeing the 7% year over year inflation number is scary. Mm-hmm. But then when you actually get in the weeds and look at it and you see that it's driven primarily by a few different things, namely new and used cars, gas, it's like, all right, I know that eventually the car manufacturers will produce more new cars once the chip shortage is sorted out, which allegedly is happening right now. And then when the new vehicles are being produced, that will drive used cars down. So to me, it's promising seeing that it's not, 7% increase across the whole board, because that would be a truer indicator of, for me, Spencer, of saying, okay, the dollar has really gotten 7% weaker if everything across the board was in line with that versus a couple things having way outside higher inflation than other components.
So the headline that you're going to see, if you haven't already seen it today, is that inflation is at a 40-year high, right? Inflation at a 40-year high, inflation up 7%. But as Aaron just pointed out, it's not really as bad as that. I mean, it's not great, right? But it's not really as bad as that would indicate. And on the food thing, the food is probably the one that everyone sees and feels the most, especially now that people are working from home and they maybe not be driving as much. We all feel the food, the cost of food increase, right? So look, did it go up last month? Yes, but it actually went up less than it did in the last 3 months. So silver lining. Maybe.
Yeah, I think a lot of economists are saying that that we could be seeing kind of the peak of inflation soon, and we'll be moving lower from there. We've talked about this before, Spencer. That economists, it's kind of a job that you can just be perpetually wrong and keep your job. So who knows? It's all like theorized. But we will see. Yeah, we're all feeling. Jay Rice, I do. I actually do believe this.
This is a whole other can of worms.
I don't know. It's like if I don't believe this data, then we have nothing, right? If we don't have any numbers or like facts we can look at, then I don't know what there is. But we talked about this yesterday, Spencer, that a lot of people will say the CPI number is skewed, whatever. Yeah. But then when it is higher, they're like, see, I told you the CPI data is higher. And it's like, wait, I thought you said that was a made up metric. So I actually had that in real time with Peter Schiff, because I asked him about the CPI data like 2 days before they reported it a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he like went on this tangent about how the CPI is not legit, it's massaged. And then when the CPI did come in, this was like the first one, I think it was maybe 8 months ago, that showed a lot of inflation. He was tweeting about it saying like, see,
I told you so.
Yeah.
Which you told me the number was bull, and then when it reaffirmed your theory.
Yeah, it's not bull if it reaffirms
it's
your
not
theory.
Bull.
Yeah.
Jay, come on. I don't think anyone is saying this is trans. I think we're way past the transitory thing.
But inflation's here, and it hasn't been transitory. My whole point was when you look into the numbers and get deeper, I think it becomes a little bit less scary than just looking at the baseline number that you see in headlines.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like, I guess maybe this is like me just being like a politician and playing middle ground, but like you can believe that the number is not a true representation, and you can also believe that it's not total bunk either, right? I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Like it's not. I don't think it's total bunk. But does it necessarily reflect the inflation that like I'm seeing in my everyday life? No. Is it worse for some people more than others? Yeah. But
I think and we don't have to stay on this too long, but I think there's just been some not so great like reporting about everything, in regards to inflation. There was a story a couple weeks ago that CNN did about some family.
Oh, I saw that.
The milk thing.
The milk thing.
And then when you actually like this family said a year ago milk was $1.70 a gallon. And now it's $3.50, and CNN basically just ran with this story, didn't fact check anything, and then people came back and was like, "Well, milk prices are like you can just look it up in public knowledge." And a year ago, milk prices were certainly not $1.50 a gallon or whatever they said it was, but
no, but they were buying like 12 gallons of milk a week or something like that.
That was the other part.
And who buys 12 gallons of milk a week?
Yeah, but I'm looking at
anyway.
A graph right now of milk prices, and actually right now milk prices are cheaper than they were in September of 2014.
There we go. I did see a chart about the price of breakfast sausage is up 20% in the last couple of years, if you are a breakfast sausage person. But anyway, we can move away from that.
Everyone in the chat here for Rod. Rod will be joining us. Hot Rod will be on in about 5-6 minutes, we'll say. We've got a number of things to discuss, of course. Primarily GameStop on we're at that point, the 1-year anniversary of the big short squeeze with GameStop. So we'll be talking about Rod about what led to that, his findings. I agree, boss. Without Rod, this stream would have been nothing. But we do have Rod, so that makes it something.
Hey.
You want to...
I appreciate the feedback, as always.
So at one point today, Spencer, my Robinhood portfolio was up $229.
Oh, no. What happened?
And then it was down $340. Now it's back to $230.
Okay.
I don't know. I made a stupid option call on Facebook. I got faked out by the chart. It looked like Facebook was going to like absolutely rip. And then it just kind of tanked. So really the only thing that can save me is if we get like an afternoon run in Facebook. Or meta platform.
Wait, I haven't actually looked at Facebook yet today. It's doing what it's up with the. Oh no, it's down. Oh, that's interesting. I thought tech was up, and it is, but Facebook is not moving with it.
I know that's a bad sign.
That's interesting.
Showing some
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, Q's got a nice pop. I was up earlier if I go back to my portfolio, you can see I had those TQQ calls that I we spoke about yesterday. If you were here, we were on with David Green. David Green texted me. He told me the level he would sell them at. We hit that level, so I sold them.
Good deal.
Yeah, and then I took that money and put it into a not so great trade so far, but who knows? Anything could happen in this market.
Anyway, here's that Facebook chart, which I'm looking at for the first time today. So let's zoom out. Let's go to a daily on Facebook. Yo, tradetherange.com. Just trade the range here, right? I know we're down today, but I mean, you sell this thing at 350, you buy it back at 330, at 320. Yeah, that's what I would do. So we're sort of in the middle of no man's land right now. So I probably wouldn't touch it. That's me. What else we got here? As always, guys, if you have questions, you have tickers you want us to opine on. Well, Leslie, what do you have against Robinhood? Maybe they did something bad to you, but easy to use.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
So
it's easy for me to.
Dude, it's easy to use. It's bottom line.
Yeah.
That's what separates them.
I did get into these take two calls, Spencer, that are up 62%, but it was a much smaller position, so I'm only up $28 on it versus my Facebook. If all my positions were equal, I'd be faring a little bit better today.
Again, the end game here is to get Aaron above the PDT threshold. What is it, 25?
Yeah. And look how close I was at one point. At my height, I was up 18 grand. I never get how Robinhood does this because it says I'm like negative 320, which isn't right. Like I've only made money. But I think it's because I pulled some money out. Someone helped me because like how can it say I'm up 18 grand but then only had 12,000 in my account?
Were you ever down?
No. Well, maybe at one. Yeah, like here. I was down.
Yeah, you were down $6,000.
No.
Yeah.
That's how much I pulled. I was actually down. The number below is like really what I was, down 50, and then I was up 12, lost it all, got some back.
I don't know.
Lost some since then, but still, like this is my all-time. It says I'm up $6,000, but then it says down over 100%. I think because I pulled some out. Okay. I have no clue. I'll figure it out.
Okay. Because you YOLO'd all them on bad options trades. Okay. Well, let's keep an eye on the movers and keep an eye on the scanner and see. Do we have any other news? How is Biogen doing today? That was your crazy mover of the morning. BIIB. I want to check on that. Has it bounced at all? I really feel for everyone that this move in Biogen is nuts. Okay, so yes, it has bounced. It stopped going down. Let me show you this chart. This Biogen chart is wacko, okay? Or as David Green would say, wackadoodle. All right? So this is a 1 year chart of Biogen. This crazy candle from a year ago, well, not a year ago, 7 months ago, right? June of last year, how high? It got to $468 on the quote-unquote approval of Aduhelm, their Alzheimer's drug. $468. It went from 2 days prior, it went from the 270s, the 260s to it went up $200 basically in 2 days. And now today we are dramatically lower than where we started. And it's because the drug is really not going to be available to a lot of people. It's not going to be, frankly, it's very expensive. And you can only get it if you are in a clinical trial for this drug. To get covered by Medicare and Medicaid. So it's expensive. It's not selling well. It seems like it's been doomed from the start, but what a ridiculous chart this is.
Do you know, I keep hearing that this drug is controversial. Is it like the efficacy, like the actual effectiveness of the drug is in effect, or is it more from like bad side effects?
So it's both. It's both. It got like a conditional approval. It got like the FDA approved it, but then they said we're only approving this as long as you can show us in another trial that it's safe, and that defeats the purpose of it. So there was like a bunch of people that on the FDA's advisory committee that resigned because they were like, this decision is bullshit, frankly. And now there's a massive need for this drug. There's no treatment or cure for Alzheimer's, so it's a huge market, but This one doesn't seem to be it. Also, when they first announced the price, it was $56,000 for the year. That's insane.
No drug should be that expensive.
That's insane.
Also,
and then they cut it in half, which is helpful, but still, like 28 grand. You know, who's got that kind of money?
in the chat, Rod's going to be joining us in T-minus 60 seconds.
Yes,
I just want to wrap up this Biogen. I was joking with Spencer yesterday. I was like, I'm no, biotech expert, but anytime a drug is, labeled as controversial, probably not a great sign. Probably not a great, PR. It's probably a fiasco over there. But
all right, the people don't want to hear about that.
People want Rod. All right, if you don't know Rod is the co-founder of GMEDD.com. Of course, doing some deep due diligence and research into GameStop well before the short squeeze, which happened a year ago today.
Tomorrow. Well, it started tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, we'll talk to Rod. Rod probably knows. All right.
Let's find out.
Without further ado, bring it on, Rod.
Boom.
Rod, how we doing? It's been too long.
It's been a minute, guys. How are you?
Good. And also, sorry for...
It's not quite the 1-year anniversary of the mania, if you will, but it was, what's today, the 12th? Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary, as Ryan Cohen noted, of the board settlement.
So that was kind of like the first domino, you could say. Maybe the first domino was...
I referred to it at the time as a bloodless coup.
Got it. Well, so Rod, we'll get right into GameStop, and then of course, some other things as well. I should have mentioned while introducing you, Rod is also the managing director of Wook Capital. So we'll talk about Wook Capital in a sec as well.
The chat is all over you. Chat loves you, Rod. They love you. The people.
Let's go.
So, Rod, I'm just curious, like, as you look back now, it's been about a year, right? As you look back at like that whole saga, because even if you can say the saga hasn't ended yet, that period of time definitely is definitely ended, right? At least for now. So as you look back at it, like, how do you look back at that? How do you think about that whole period of time? Where things are crazy?
I remember you guys had me on, about a year ago, and it felt like every time you had me on, there would just be Luke would be like, it's halted again. It was just insane. That January was clearly one of the most monumental moments in recent market history. I mean, obviously the whole GME, it's an operating business. We can talk about the operating business, but what happened with that mania in January? Millions of people signing up for new Robinhood, other brokerage accounts because they wanted to be a part of this thing. That thing was something that I never envisioned happening. I don't think anyone who was a fundamentals oriented investor in GameStop or any of the other names that kind of became associated with the meme movement viewed as likely or as something that they would ever see happening. It really did just profoundly shift a lot of narratives. It's left some lingering, some people have some feelings about it. Obviously, you mentioned it's not over. Do they think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes still? We could talk about that angle of it. But no, a year later, I much prefer to talk about the fundamentals. And I do think that the business is rapidly transforming itself, unlike some of the other memes out there in the world.
Well, so Rob, let's take it back a sec to even before a year ago. I mean, a lot of this... everything that happened in GameStop was kind of, I'm not going to say foreseen, but some of the valuations and stuff were pointed out by guys like yourself, like Roaring Kitty. So I've got a few questions. First of all, when did you start GMEDD.com? I know it was kind of well before the short squeeze, but I forget exactly when that was.
Actually, it wasn't. So the GMEDD.com was a direct byproduct of a lot of retail investors, of which I am one, who felt like there was a deliberative, intentional muting of all things open discussion around GameStop. Like, as November and December 2020 rolled around, the amount of bot attacks on both Reddit, StockTwits, etc., other social media sites, my perception was from folks who were on the other side of the trade to try and shut down discourse, So the purpose of GMEDD.com was to have an open platform that no one could shut down to enable that discourse. We added an open source financial model, open source report. Like everything was intentionally done such that here's the information that dozens of us have gathered over the years. And here's what we see, right? We laid out a bull case price target with a mean price target. It was $169.42. Yeah, that was a meme number, but the analysis and the research underpinning it was not a meme. And the market, by and large, over the last year has agreed with us. We put out the report kind of purposefully as a counter program to when Andrew left at Citron had said, it's going to go back to 20 fast, right? And obviously it didn't, and it never has, and it never will. But that was very purposefully done to try and counter what we perceived as just media, whether you want to call it mainstream media, whatever, kind of really keeping the real dialogue around GameStop's fundamental situation on mute. And we said, you can't press the mute button if we have our own website. Aha.
Oh yeah, I think it was your first original Stock Twits post about GameStop that I was thinking of. That was like
my first Stock Twits post to get about GameStop was some point in early 2018. So
yeah, that's what I remember. I remember you were doing DD. You were like doing some deep research on GameStop like well before all this unfolded. Yeah. So I'm curious, what was like your original inclination that like, okay, I need to look into this. I need to look at the balance sheet. I need to look at what's going on.
Yeah. So I've shared the story a little bit. I had owned GameStop before 2017 when I was in my early teens. I've always been a big time nerd, always interested in financial markets. So when I was a teenager and my dad had a custodial account set up, I had actually bought GameStop before they bought Electronics Boutique in the early 2000s. So I was familiar with the business. Fast forward, like I sold when I had to go to college and needed money for, tuition and room and board in like 2006 or so. But fast forward to 2017, and I viewed it as, it looks like this is an undervalued security. Obviously, it continued to decline in price over the course of 18, 19, and into 20. 19 is when Michael Burry had his famous Barron's interview that I think got a lot of folks interested in the ticker again when it was around $4. Roaring Kitty, of course, deep fucking value. However we want to talk about Keith, he put on his options trades largely, I think, in that summer of 2019. So yeah, I mean, it was just a buildup over time. There's a lot more to the story. I have a couple podcasts that I've recorded. Like I put one out in December of 2020. And interestingly, the local low, right? The price closed at 1272 that day we recorded it. And I remember the guys interviewing me were like kind of Reddit guys, and they were like, aren't you nervous? And I'm like, you guys don't realize I've been in this for years and I've done my DD. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, you're less nervous when you have that information at your back, and yeah, you can call Keith whatever you want to, just don't call him a cat.
He's not a cat.
Exactly. He's definitely not a cat.
He's not a cat.
He does like the stock.
But Rod, so I mean, this he does like the stock. This last year has been undoubtedly crazy for anyone in retail investing. I mean, did we ever get to a point where you kind of thought to yourself, like, all right, this is getting like a little overdone, or maybe GameStop is getting a little overvalued here? I mean, do you think kind of the storyline got away from the original storyline that you and Keith had both originally identified, just that this stock is tremendously undervalued?
Yeah, it did, right? Like that week in January a year ago, that last week, it morphed into a mania, right? When Chamath was tweeting about buying call options on GameStop, when then Elon, of course, famously tweeted GameStonk. On the chart, I think it was, if you look at the green candle before the mega jump, it was that afternoon after the close that Elon tweeted GameStop, and that literally added over $10 billion in market cap at the snap of or at the click of a tweet. So during that week, I had a podcast recorded with Bloomberg, the Odd Lots team, the morning of Thursday, January 28th. While it hit its all-time high intraday, we recorded the podcast, myself, Joe Weisenthal, Tracy Alloway. So, listen to that just to hear the emotion in my voice, watching the ticker while I'm trying to have a cogent conversation with these two really sharp journalists. While the stock was literally on a moon mission, and it did get ahead of itself, right? You had this the SEC report that came out a few months back. I think you can boil it down to, it wasn't, a gamma squeeze. It wasn't a short squeeze. It was a really insane shift in the sentiment around the stock, largely on the retail side, that saw massive flood of buying, and it morphed. It eventually did become a mania, but it was fundamentally a shift in sentiment that drove things. And it was the fastest shift in sentiment that we've ever seen before. And I think that our research helped enable that, because they could see these are people that have worked on this for years, who've done their work, who are saying, look, the sell side is saying one thing. There's really only one sell side analyst, Stephanie, Witsink at Jefferies, who's said anything like, yeah, I think she has a $175 price target right now on it, if I'm remembering correctly. And at the time she had said, there is a reason why the stock is undervalued back when it was at lower levels. But by and large, everyone, even today, it's like you've got the Anthony Chicumbas of the world at Luke, who don't even cover the name anymore, says it's nonsensical. And it's like, well, man, you're just saying that because you refuse to actually contemplate that what they're doing is going to lead to a successful transformation. You're just assuming that what's on the income statement today is what's always going to be there. And if you're looking backwards, that's just not how you analyze securities. You have to look forward, and you have to incorporate all known information when you're making those assessments. And I just didn't think people were doing that in media by and large. So, I'm very proud of what I think we've done, and what I hope that it's going to lead to, and has led to.
Yeah, well, it's been a crazy story, and you've kind of been at the center of a lot of it. We've got some good questions rolling in the chat. Spencer, do you have something?
I wanted to ask Rod about the other day, right? About the report from the journal about, detailing with some specificity, right, GameStop's NFT, operations and crypto ambitions, right? And obviously the idea of that has been out there. So I would love your take on the reaction, on the market's reaction to that article, because it seemed like I happened to just be on Wall Street Bets when the article dropped, and people were like, "Oh, this isn't even new news. We already knew about this," But then there the stock was going. It was going as if it was new news. So like, I just what is your take on that?
Yeah, totally. Some of it was marginally new information, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
By and large, it's been known. Like the NFT.GameStop.com has been out since, I think it was May of 2021. So I mean, many months they've made it publicly known that they're seeking creators, they're seeking players and gamers to be a part of this. Maybe the quantity, like the 20 plus full-time employees dedicated to the project, wasn't known. Right, that they Barron's reporter followed up that they had explored an acquisition of Loopring, a level 2 Ethereum solution that we believe, and GME has for months reported on, that we believe they're going to be incorporating into whatever this marketplace product is that they're building to enable, gasless. Like if I look at Gwei right now on Ethereum, it's like 300 plus. It's been insane to start off the year. But the gas fees to transact on the Ethereum blockchain are very high. And GameStop's been working on a solution with Loopring, and there's others, I'm sure, that was in the reporting, to enable low or no gas activity in blockchain. Okay. And again, that's all known, though. I mean, it had been reported. So to me, the price reaction was really overblown. It was very strange. I know there's all these kind of conspiracy-esque theories out there I'm not really going to touch on. But it still does trade like a meme. It still does trade heavily correlated with AMC and with other companies that don't actually have any sort of fundamental transformation going on or any connection to the underlying fair market value, in my opinion. So it's still trading like a meme, even though I don't think it is actually a meme.
Got it. Rod, another company that we've discussed with you on this stream before has been Playboy. We actually had Playboy's CEO, Ben Cohn, on the show about a month ago. Spencer, I believe.
I think it was about a month or so ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Early
somewhere.
December.
I don't know. Time is a circle. But
do you have any new DD insights on Playboy or any other stocks out there that you're kind of researching, thinking, hey, this looks kind of undervalued, or anything along those lines?
Yeah, Playboy is another one that, a lot like GameStop, if you look at its financial statements, if you look at the financials in isolation, you'd be like, why do you see an opportunity here? You guys had Ben on. Ben was at an ICR conference sharing kind of an update yesterday. I think you can hear that recording at the Playboy Investors page. Lance, the CFO, is going to be on Friday. But I was on Benzinga, I remember, earlier this year talking about Playboy. And I brought it up, I think it was in March. It's had an interesting run over the course of last year. Kind of had a crazy moon mission in April when they announced they were going to be exploring NFTs, and they've done several different NFT launches over the course of 2021. Stock went up to 60, back down to 20-ish, up then to 40, back down to low mid 20s right now. But when you actually look at, okay, I don't care about just looking at a price chart, right? So when you look at that price chart, you're like, what? There's a lot going on, but there's actually been a lot fundamentally that's going on in this chart, right? So they were a de-SPAC. They didn't necessarily have the dilutive warrants associated with their SPAC merger when they came public. So from a dilution perspective, you don't have that overhang of a ton of warrants outstanding. After they saw the price appreciate significantly, they were able to opportunistically raise some capital in the 40s. They bought Honey Birdette, which is a luxury lingerie and lifestyle brand based out of Australia. A lot of creators like to wear Honey Birdette attire, but they acquired a design team that Playboy is now going to leverage that design team to create Playboy branded swimwear and nightwear. They in October you see the jump in to the left of November on the chart when it jumped up from those low 20 levels. They acquired a company called Dream, which they are launching a platform called Centerfold. It's in a soft launch right now if you go to centerfold.com. And Ben is trying to position it, Ben Cohen, the CEO, is trying to position it as kind of in between Instagram and OnlyFans. It's not going to have the hardcore pornography that is on OnlyFans. It's going to be more tasteful than that, but it's going to not have the creator censorship like Instagram, where women and men have to worry about their accounts getting banned and all their followers deleted because they posted a nipple or whatever. So Ben's making this creator platform. This is the digital foray for Playboy. It's kind of going to be this top of funnel flywheel where creators are creating whatever it is that they want, within the terms that Playboy worked with them to create. They're going to be able to post their content, have subscriptions similar to OnlyFans in that regard, a very high margin platform business. But for Playboy, the kind of secret sauce is you already have, a design team in Honey Birdette. You have a distribution network in terms of Playboy's DCs. You have an e-commerce platform. So if I'm a creator and I want to build my own brand, right? They brought Cardi B on as creative director. And while we haven't heard much from her publicly, presumably Cardi's trying to launch her own, cosmetics line, right? Like Rihanna has with Fenty. So Rihanna, whether she collaborates with Playboy's design team now to create her own swimwear line. I think it's interesting when you look at what they've accumulated and it's not yet on the income statement. So it's like you're potentially very early to the party when it comes to Playboy. And then when you look at the chart recently, look, all of these kind of high growth story stocks have been taking it on the chin because of the interest rate concerns and inflation concerns at the Fed. So you've seen this factor shift, right, from growth toward value and quality. And for now, their financial statements don't reflect value and quality, but it's among my largest positions. I've been in the name, I've been accumulating. I look forward to seeing the story play out over the next few years. I think it's going to be a $10 billion plus enterprise in a couple years.
Yeah, one thing I've learned about news flow is it's quiet until it's not, and you don't hear anything until 5 months go by. Oh, wait, here we have an update for you, and then whoa, I forgot all about this from 5 months ago. So, yeah, it's quiet until it's not. I don't want to ignore the chat. The chat's flying with questions. There's this is one from Mickey I thought was interesting. Question for Rod. Speaking of the theories, what's going on? I think we're back to GameStop here. What's going on with the price action on earnings? Seems to be the same cycle every time.
Man, GameStop earnings every freaking time. It just feels like it falls off a cliff. They report earnings and it tanks. It's felt that way for years. I don't know that there's much more to it than, of late at least, I think maybe investors, some more of these maybe less experienced retail investors are buying call options ahead of earnings with an anticipation of one thing, and then you maybe get that kind of slippage where, now I'm selling, and it kind of leads to cascading selling because the results, the company's been very mum, right? Like the company has issued very terse statements at the last few earnings calls. They're like, we're not going to telegraph what we're doing. But I think if you've listened closely and paid close attention, you understand it's broadening our SKU selection, broadening our product categories that we participate in, growing our private label business on PC related hardware, accessories, etc. In addition to the digital initiatives, that I believe they are working on making this your primary destination. If you're thinking of anything gaming or pop culture or collectibles related, you're going to GameStop first. And in the interim, they're going to forsake margin. They're going to forsake percent margin, at least. They're going to grow margin dollars, though, by growing the top line. But I think you're going to see margin percent continue to compress a little bit, partially a function of mix, right? Pre-owned gaming has been their legacy bread and butter business for decades. We all know that is continuing to decline, potentially in a terminal decline. So I don't know what to say about earnings. It's like every time it's like a punch in the face.
Oh wait, you know what I haven't done is I have not looked at the calendar. I don't even know when they report. I think they're like later. I think they're usually off cycle. I feel like, but I could be wrong. It might not even be confirmed yet.
Yeah, they're going to report some point in March. They
Okay.
should be reporting. They've historically reported holiday sales results right around now. So whether they're going to continue to do that, or with this new team that's kind of very cagey about information disclosure, opt not to, I don't know the answer to that. But they do have a fiscal year like most specialty retailers, where they end the year Jan 31, and they'll report in March for fourth quarter.
Got it. All right. Do we have any like actual questions that like Rod can answer that are not about like other people, or like I don't want to have him?
I had a joke I was gonna make. I mean, Rod mentioned Playboy launching Centerfold. I was just gonna make a joke. I was gonna say I think Playboy launched Centerfold a while ago, but different product.
That's a Mitch.
Not that I would.
No, I read Playboy for the articles. Okay.
That people used to say that. Like I think back in the day there were some like years where Playboy actually had some like good editorial content.
And I think that they're going
know.
to recreate that. And I think that the other part is people think of Playboy and have a very maybe in the looking back, it's like, oh, what is Playboy? It's a magazine. Well, no, they haven't published a magazine since before COVID, so it's no longer a media and entertainment company.
They haven't published. Yeah, Playboy hasn't.
No, they.
I did not know that.
They were losing money on the magazine.
Yeah, I think that was a couple. Yeah, I think that was like 2019.
Well, Rod, my last question from you was just going to be, I know we mentioned NFTs talking about Playboy, but I just wanted to kind of get your gauge on NFTs and what's going on with NFTs in general right now. Is your profile picture on Twitter an NFT?
Yeah, that is a Rabbitar. That's one of the Playboy minted 11,953 of them in October in honor of their 1953 year of founding. So the Rabbitars are there. They've talked about them as a potential form of Playboy Club membership. So Rabbitars, so far, they've done a party in New York City that Rabbitars got access to, a party in Miami at Art Basel. So they did NFT NYC, Art Basel, in Miami, these two live party events that I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to attend. But speaking of folks who went, they were a blast. There's access to, they're going to be doing, I think, digital parties. Like they're going to have musicians, comedians hosting parties at a digital Playboy mansion, so to speak. So it's a mix of real world and digital world benefits, right? If you go and right click save my profile pic, you're not going to get access to those benefits. Obviously, people joke around with NFTs like that, but it is in fact a form of, I own this token that's providing me these incremental real world and digital world benefits. Yeah.
Got it. And then just on the NFT space in general, like, are you bullish the NFT space? Do you think? I'm always just curious.
I think most NFTs go to zero. I think most NFTs are worthless. I think most NFTs are speculative tokens. That said, there are many NFTs that will survive, a small bucket of them that have real utility, whether it's in the form of a community that's been built, right? BAYC, of course, CryptoPunks. Those kind of as OG tokens, I think have built some impressive communities that I think will survive an NFT winter. But there's so many where it's a scam. It's a rug. We're doing this just to try and monetize. If I'm a celebrity, I'm just trying to mint as many NFTs as I can and take advantage of it while the iron's hot. And there's nothing that stands behind it. But the reason why I'm very bullish on Playboys in particular is they've articulated that Web3 is how they view the company operating into the future. It's a creator-oriented economy that we're shifting towards, that crypto and blockchain do enable in ways that weren't possible maybe in this kind of legacy world. Ben Cohn at Playboy's been very bullish on it for most of 21. I think the team has done a lot behind the scenes. I know they've teed up that there's a big announcement coming on Friday pertaining to the Rabbitars, so I look forward to hearing about that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I honestly I agree with a lot of your sentiment there.
I agree with all of it.
We talked we talked to a guy who's in the like minor league baseball, and he has his own NFT project, and part of it was, you know, if you buy one of these, you can come get like special access to one of these minor league games or whatever. So anything like that can get you some real world value, access to a community like you mentioned, I think is cool. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, what's the utility here?
I agree with all that. I'm cautiously optimistic on Web3. I'm very excited for it, but
Web3 will have like big use case. I think it's just too
it's
early.
so early.
Yeah, it's like we didn't in 2000 people didn't
Right.
know how the internet was going to be used to reshape business and the economy.
Right.
So in the same way, we really don't know with Web3 now, but we'll have a better idea in a few
Exactly.
years. But Rod, it was a pleasure to have you back on. Hopefully we can get you on again soon. You know, anytime there's updates either in the GameStop story, in Playboy, anything else that you're researching or finding, you know, info about, just reach out to us and we'd love to get you back on.
Yeah, you guys will see me in a documentary that's coming out shortly on GameStop in the next few weeks, so keep your eyes peeled.
where will I see that? Do you know? Netflix?
Are you allowed to say?
I can't
Are you
I
at
can't
liberty
say
to-
much. I can say it'll be on a big screen somewhere before it's on a small screen. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Ooh, so AMC, GameStop, collab.
Collab? I don't know.
We'll see.
He did say
Also,
that.
Rod, I was gonna mention I gotta go back and I think I listened to that Odd Lots episode at the time, but maybe it'd be fun to do that like a year later. Go back and listen to it. And I love Joe and Tracy. We were actually supposed to have them on this show, but I think Tracy was like in Hong Kong and had trouble with her internet or something. So I don't know.
By the way,
It fell through.
Rod made the best of Benzinga YouTube 2021 video. I'm going to put the link in the chat if you missed it. Rod made a cameo because his interview was one of the best of 2021 on our channel. So Rod Alzmann, a pleasure, man. Have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Look to be back on soon.
All right. I know we have our next guest on in a couple of minutes, but before we do, I just wanted to, there are some questions in the chat about Benzinga and about GameStop. Let me just show you guys. This is Benzinga Pro, and this is a news feed. And I just filtered it for GameStop by searching for GME, right? These are all, I'm going to get there. These are all the GME headlines and articles. There's a difference, right? A headline has no body, has no text. It's just a headline that lives here on our paid platform, and an article that also lives on benzinga.com, right? That is not behind a paywall. Okay. So we do a lot of coverage of this stock. And why do we do a lot of coverage? Because it is more often than not one of the trending stocks of the day. How do we know that? We have data to see what stocks, what tickers people are searching for on our platform, right? We can see, for example, I'm making this up, but GameStop and Tesla and Biogen, whatever, are like the three most searched stocks today. People are looking for news or commentary about them. We need to do that, right? So this is why we post the amount of GameStop content that we do. A lot of it, frankly, is just the top Wall Street bets mentions of the day, for example, right? This is just one from December 31st. This is a headline, not an article. And with regards to the bias, frankly, we go with the market, right? If GameStop is ripping higher, we will post headlines or articles that try to explain why it's going higher. If it's going lower, we will post content that tries to explain why it's going lower. We don't have an agenda. It's easy to think that we do, but we really don't. I mean, we go with the market. That's the bottom line. Okay, no one here owns GameStop. No one here is short GameStop. We go where the price action leads us, and we try to understand the price action, right? That's the bottom line. So, we're not for the stock. We're not against the stock. We're not for or against any stock. I have things that I'm rooting for, but like Benzinga as a company is not for or against any stock, right? We just try to follow the price action.
But I'm trying to think if we have any like direct competitors that are public, because then we would be against those stocks.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm just
Well,
kidding.
yeah, Forbes is Forbes backing.
I think wasn't there a Bloomberg
We would be
rumor about
Bloomberg
going
against
public?
Forbes.
We'd be against Forbes. We'd be against.
I don't know. There aren't that many public. We don't have any competitors really that are like
BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed's not a competitor. I don't think BuzzFeed's a competitor to us.
Maybe if we started doing more, like, hey, take these 10 questions and find out what stock you are. We could do more BuzzFeed.
Should we start doing like the listicle? It's like, what stock are you?
Yeah, what stock are you? Some BuzzFeed type.
Maybe. That's not the worst idea.
Do you like any metals? Not really.
I like Metallica. That's about all I got.
There's some rare like earth metals that people really like right now. Palladium, lithium. I just don't know. I'm not like an expert. Well, Spencer, remind me, or Shelly, someone out there, remind me that we need to get like a rare metals expert on in the next
We can do that.
week or so.
We can do that.
All
right. It's 12:31. We have our next guest lurking backstage. Everett Knight from Valens. Should we get Everett Knight on the show?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Well, hold on. Let's see if Everett gives us like a thumbs up or something that he's ready to come on.
Forget the thumbs up. Let's just bring him on when he's not even paying attention.
He's ready.
There he is.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Today? Good. How you doing today?
Hey, doing great. Also a big fan of Metallica, so
Nice.
starting on the right note.
Yeah. Someone who that's my opinion on the metals. I like Metallica above all else. But anyway, Everett Knight. Before we proceed any further, if someone watching has absolutely no idea who you work for and what you do, how would you explain to them?
I'm a drug dealer.
Aha!
I am Evert Knight. I'm executive vice president of corporate development and capital markets for a company called the Valens Company. And we are the largest manufacturer of cannabis products in Canada. So it's legal drug dealing. I guess I should frame on this show, but I would say that I've spent the better part of my career as a portfolio manager in the small cap space, and then launched the first long-only institutional cannabis fund in Canada, and now am selling drugs at Valens.
So you made the leap. You were a finance guy. You were an investor, and you actually made the leap to a company, right? Like that, I'm always fascinated by that. Like that's how bullish you were, where you actually like in a way you switched careers, right? So like talk about that. Like I'm also bullish cannabis, but it's been a pretty rough go of it in the last 12 months. So yeah, talk about that for a second.
Yeah, Valens was my top pick, and I like to say I picked my horse in the race. But it's something I've been passionate about for a while, and it's been a volatile year. And if investors aren't happy with the returns in any cannabis stock, pretty much in 2021, and I think that's a global movement rather than the fundamentals long term in the space. I mean, I still think as a come from the small cap side, are you going to find better growth in a marketplace over the next 10 years? I don't think so. When you have a defined black market and you have a consumer that's already here, and all you're doing is just legalizing it. The U.S. going from 21 billion in revenue to 100 billion. In Canada, we're on track to do 4.25 billion legally, but it's a $10 billion black market. I think this is the journey we're on, but we have a defined consumer base, but we have double-digit growth, and I think that. From my standpoint, I think it remains one of the best GARP investments today. And that's the reason I, joined Valens. And also, I think it's broader. It helps people, right? I think that there's a lot of industries, but this one is, I think, a net benefit to society.
GARP being growth at a reasonable price. Everett, I was sort of like lamenting I was thinking about this, at some point a few months ago, but like the reaction when November of 2020, right, when it was clear that the Democrats were going to sweep, and there was this assumption, oh yeah, definitely going to get cannabis legalization. It may even happen tomorrow for all we know, right? And like the whole sector like ripped higher, and I got to ride the wave up, and then I got to ride the wave back down. And in hindsight, it was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have jumped the gun there. I mean, we're now almost we're on our second year here, and has the sentiment changed there, or?
I think what people did is got ahead of themselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
you got to look at, if you have a 3 to 5 year time horizon, I think there's a high probability that legalization can happen in the U.S.,
Okay.
right? And I think what happened is that, everyone expected it tomorrow. But if you set expectations and look at even the state progress, there's state legalizing cannabis every day. Look at the legislation initiatives of U.S. states next year. It's still growing, right? And you look at Colorado 7 years later. What a great cannabis market for that. So if you look at the roadmap, even in mature states, I think that people can say, look, don't look at this as a quarter time horizon. Look, this is a long term, and never bet on regulations, but look at the fundamentals and, the EV revenue multiples of the space today compared to other growth sectors and where they're trading. I just don't know EV to revenue multiples with the percentage growth we're going to see in the next few years.
Yeah, betting on legislation is typically a recipe for disappointment. I've learned this.
I think the legislation side of it is interesting because everyone's, of course, looking for that, federal legalization that will allow companies to operate between states and whatnot. But it seems like it's kind of inching along, right? Like we had the Republican bill that, decriminalized?
Yeah.
Stuff like so. I think instead of it being just like a binary thing, we're kind of inching toward that. And I'd be curious, what happens in 2022 after the midterms, at least here in the U.S. Like if the Republicans take control, maybe they'll know, oh, hey, we'll look really good right here if we're the ones that do this instead of the Democrats who promised to do it.
Yeah, I think you guys, for politicians, and in my opinion, people can win the election based on legalizing cannabis and what party can do that. I think it's such a powerful thing. If you look at majority of Americans think that this should be legalized in the U.S. And you make a great point. Like, I think we make progress behind the scenes, whether it's, safe banking and other bills going on. I think you see some people, you actually can bank, right? Let's let the industry be able to bank at big banks. And then let's be able to have some of these companies come to NASDAQ. We're unique because we're in Canada, so we actually just listed on the NASDAQ. I think we have a little bit of an opportunity, but now we're trying to take that and look at that U.S. marketplace, which regardless, I think makes benefit. I think 2022 is a banner year going into November 2022 midterms.
Yeah, that's a great point you make as far as just the NASDAQ listing and being in Canada, because that's a whole other can of worms, really, for that you have to deal with, right? Or maybe not you per se, but like other cannabis companies would have to deal with, right? Is the whole listing thing, and you can't touch the plant if you're in the U.S., but if you're in Canada, that's a whole different story, right? So, one of the reasons we got in touch, Everett, was because a couple weeks ago, you believe you guys also had some news. You announced a partnership with MTL for extraction and manufacturing of pre-rolls. So tell us about this partnership.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, we both do our own brands, which is probably going to be 75 to 85% of our revenue next year, as well as B2B manufacturing. We're an ally to some of the largest companies in Canada. MTL is actually, a really craft producer with a cult following. We love the people and the company, and what we're going to be doing that for them is pre-roll manufacturing and vapes. I think it's a great way to fill utilization of your facility, driving revenue. And for us, it's not the last partnership for us. I think we're looking forward to obviously getting those core partners entering 2022.
Yep. And then just Everett, something that I hear a lot, and I would love to get your take, is the biggest argument I always hear, the most recurring argument I always hear against cannabis is, it's a commodity, it's a flower, it's easy to grow, right? Can you give me some ammo here for what I say to that?
I'd say that it's a consumer good first, right? If you look at it at the end product, right, people are actually developing consumer interest and differentiation based on cannabis. Where, if you look at normal commodities, really, it's more of a grading system where, it's the terpene qualitative process and everything else. With that said, I think that, the value chain, if you look at Canada, we do not cultivate today, because there's an overabundance of flower in the marketplace. And I think as you look at this become an agricultural industry, we've developed the model of being more contract growers, like big CPG companies like Driscoll, where if you've had Driscoll strawberries and raspberries, the model where they actually have the genetics and they put it to the farmers, and then they go out and buy the best ones to keep that brand consistent. And, I think every market's going to be different and every state's going to be different, where some are going to be undersupplied and oversupplied. But I think that overall, I think this is a consumer good, obviously, and people are differentiating. There's people paying $100 per gram for a product versus $1 a gram. I think that it's important to know why they're differentiating. What are the key characteristics, whether it's terpene profile, THC percentage, or product portfolio. And I think that this is very different than a commodity. But at the same time, I think that you got to pick your spots in each marketplace. And then
you company, we mentioned you guys are Canadian, you're in Canada, but you're among the many Canadian companies that are making their way into the US via acquisition, which you did so last year. So can you talk a little bit about your US expansion plans?
Yeah, so we had the first puzzle piece with a company called Green Roads. It's one of the largest CBD companies down in the US. I think many people have seen it as one of the most online focused platforms in the US from a consumer standpoint. And, what we like about them is, the quality of the product in US CBD market today. With the lack of regulations, quality is an issue. We need to solve this as a whole, I would say, industry. And what Green Roads has is some of the highest quality CBD in the industry and consistency for their product. And, they have a pharmaceutical formulated, obviously, process that goes through it. So that's the first stage, was to go in CBD, which is legal today, that we can have in storefronts across the US. They're in over 50 states. And then the second kind of piece that I think you see in 2022 is us go and start looking at that THC strategy as legalization expands there, and different allowances happen, just like some of the other Canadian companies have. So that's a key focus for me and the M&A team going into 2022.
And then Everett, it might be different, since you're up in Canada, where you're here in the US, but do you foresee, as we see this industry develop more, do you think we're going to have those kind of those companies that are leaders that, if I go into a gas station, right, I can always buy a pack of Marlboro cigarettes. Will I be able to one day always be able to buy a pack of, say, Valens joints at a gas station? Or do you think the market will look different than what the, tobacco or alcohol markets look like today?
No, I think it has the same path. Obviously, it takes time to get there. I think when you look at this industry 10 years out, I think you see, 10 major players, 5 of them with majority of that market share. And I think that you walk into that gas station, or you walk into a pharmacy and you need something for pain, and they give you a pill that has cannabis, right? I think that's the progression of this industry. And I think to be a winner, you need a key competitive advantage. And that's why, we focused on manufacturing. If you look at most mature U.S. states, 50% of the market is extract-based products, the beverages, the edibles, the vapes, the non-dried. And I think that, when you look at this industry 5 to 10 years out, that's obviously the fastest growing part of the market. And that's where we cut our teeth on innovation and IP, because when you're sitting around a dinner table, I don't know if you're always rolling a joint and lighting it, or you cheersing a beverage or passing around edibles or taking a vape out of your pocket. And I think if you have a key competitive advantage, you can be one of those top 10 companies. And that's where we sit in our value added competitive advantage today.
Got it. Well, so you just mentioned kind of the subset groups of, vapes, edibles, all that. Do you have any insight into which one of the, what's growing the fastest versus edibles, flower, vapes? Is there one that's kind of growing faster than the other groups?
Edibles has been one of the fastest growing categories, especially here in Canada. It's one of my favorite categories going forward. If you look at cannabis, it's very recession resilient, just like alcohol. But if you look at candy, it's also very recession resilient. So you almost have double the recession resilient. And for new consumers coming into this space, you're seeing a lot of adoption in that edibles category. Gummies makes up majority of them. And I think there's a lot of innovation now going into other consumer packaged industries where you have real fruit gummies, right? People are caring about the health. They don't only want to get high. Now they want it with the health trend on calories and real fruit. And we've tried to lead that in the Canadian market. But I would say that's one of my favorite categories in 2022. Look out for that, not only in Canada, but in the US marketplace.
Got it. Well, yeah, I mean, if you ever need someone to do some like on the ground research about edibles in Michigan, then maybe we can do that here. I don't know. Maybe we can find someone.
Not you.
Not me, but maybe someone.
Taste testing, some due diligence.
Hypothetically. Yeah.
We'll
you know they actually do. You know they actually do for like bud tenders and stuff at the dispensaries. They'll do. I don't even know how to kind of like virgin edibles for taste testing, like the same edibles, but that don't have any cannabis in them, so that they can just eat them for the taste to see how they taste without the effects of the actual edible.
We actually have a Health Canada grant for an R&D license for sensory studies, and believe it or not, we have a person in the company that's job is to do that, and I'm just jealous it's not me.
Well, Everett, before we let you go, any other themes kind of for 2022 or even further out than that you're looking forward to in the cannabis industry?
Yeah, I think that in 2022, look for legislation progress in the U.S. I think there's a high probability in that. You never bet on it, but if you have a 2 to 3 year time outlook with these valuations, I think it's quite the attractive space in general. And I'd say that in 2022, you're going to see the wheat separate from the chaff, and I think you see a lot of companies that aren't performing as well. You know, some commoditization of the space, and the actual losers will go bankrupt, and some bloodletting, I would say, in the space where you actually have clear winners and losers. I think it's the first time where capital is going after the companies that will be successful, and I think that's an opportunity for many companies. So I'd say if you're an investor in the space, I'd do more due diligence on the companies, because I think there's going to be more of a tiered process for multiples based on performance.
Got it. Well, Everett Knight is the Executive Vice President of Corporate Development at the Valens Company. It was great to have you on. We'd love to have you on anytime there's updates in the cannabis industry or at Valens specifically. So, again, thank you for coming on.
Have a good one, Everett.
Thanks for having me, you guys, and I'll keep you in mind for that due diligence.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All righty. Hey, it is 12:48. Hope you are having a good Wednesday.
Yeah, how's everyone's trade? How's everyone's trades looking today? We checked it on mine a little bit ago. Let me pull my brokerage back up, because we've kind of had a little bit of a comeback. I'm not going to call it a comeback.
Don't call it that.
I'm not going to call it a comeback yet.
Don't call it that.
But we're last time we checked in, I was down about $300 on the day. Now we're only down about $1.50. So trending in the right direction here. But again, not going to call it a comeback yet.
Don't call it that. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Jessica Kaylor on at 1 o'clock. We're going to have maybe Brett from Simba Bets, but most likely Cowboy from Simba Bets on at 1:30.
Yeah, I did get final word from Brett. He will not be joining us today, but is available to hop on maybe tomorrow or the following day. So we will get some good, Brett Simba trades on Benzinga Live here in the next couple days. Also, Brett Simba will be joining us later in the month for the January boot camp. That'll be on January 22nd. We're doing like a full-fledged options boot camp. So if you're like me and you want to get a little bit better at trading options, join us for the boot camp on January 22nd. I'll drop the link in the chat right now for you to sign up.
It's benzingabootcamp.com. I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Spencer's gonna beat me to it.
Well, it's Benzinga. There's the URL, benzingabootcamp.com. Check it out, and then you'll be able to learn more. But we'll have more promotion of that as we get closer.
I was just mentioning it because we've got Brett coming on. He's gonna come on the show. Brett's gonna be at the boot camp. Shelly's asking about Wordle. So Spencer, I went out and I did today's Wordle because since I've started playing, which was Monday, I was 2 for 2. Now I'm 3 for 3, and I didn't want to, watch you do it first and then have any competitive advantage. So I've already completed it. If you would like to pull it up, I'll refrain from, giving any hints or helping at all. In fact, I might just leave the room entirely.
So I yesterday was yesterday was the second time I played, right? And it was really the first time I started looking at any sort of strategy at all into this game. And Aaron's suggestion was you start with, I think your 2 words were after and round. That's what you said.
I will say I literally just like that's not like I didn't like look anything up. I just like came up with it.
I found a better word to start with.
Okay.
Audio.
But I didn't do this. I didn't go out and look. I was just thinking in my head, like, okay,
that's fine. Okay, then, all right. Audio. This is what if you don't know what Wordle is, it's this new game. Maybe we'll play it every day. Maybe we won't. Who the heck knows? It's just a
I
word.
think it's really fun to play, but it might not be as fun to watch.
I don't know. It's a word game. If you haven't played it today and you don't want to spoil it, then stop watching right now. What
Yeah.
can I say?
Also, if anyone spoils the answer in the chat, you will get an automatic
ban. You're
not
banned.
Not even a timeout. You are going to get banned.
So here's what this means. The word of the day, I've got 6 guesses total, 5 guesses left. I just guessed one of them right now. I'll use one of my guesses. I know there's an A and an O in this word, and I don't know where the A and the O are in the word. I just know the A is not the first letter, the O is not the last letter. We'll try not to make this go too long. We'll try to do this relatively quickly here, but it's a fun game. It's a fun game. You can just Google Wordle, WORDOLE. No, DLE. There's no O. WORDLE. Wordle. The first link brings you to this site, and
It's like Wordle and puzzle mixed together.
Exactly. We have no affiliation with them. This is just a viral game that we're playing because it's fun. So. I know there's no U, there's no D, and there's no I, but there is an A and an O, so I'm gonna go with COATS. I'm gonna go with coats.
Taking the chat suggestion.
I know I did not even see that. Was that in the chat?
Wait, really?
Sorry, I didn't even see that.
I think you might have like subconscious.
No, honest to God, Christian, you and I are in a mind meld right now, but I didn't even see that. Okay, so the O is not there either, and I didn't get any new letters. This is not a good spot to be in. What if we did like also, what's confusing about this game is it's not clear whether there's multiple A's or multiple.
Well, we're gonna
O's.
get the Wordle creators on the show, and we'll talk about it. Also, it looks like Aaron Thomas is putting a stripper pole into the office right now.
Aaron, what are you doing over there? All right.
Can we get the overhead camera on the stripper pole that Aaron Thomas is putting up in the office right now?
The ceiling cam is pointed at us right now. So
I know Rohan's in a Rivian right now.
Yeah, I mentioned that I think while you're off for a second, but Rohan is not here because he's test driving, or he's test driving a Rivian. Hopefully we get him on this show tomorrow to tell us about how that Rivian was. But okay, so here's what I got. Third guess of the day. I don't know. FR. That's G. I know there's an O and an A, but maybe I'll move on from that for a second. Maybe not FRE.
I'm not going to help again because I already know the answer.
Solving it. It's not a good guess.
And Shelly, I solved it on my I solved it on my last guess as well.
Okay, so I know there's an F with the first letter. And I know the A. I'm sorry, I know the O has to be the second to last letter unless there's multiple O's. And I know the A has to be either this. Let's do FA. And let's put the O. Oh, I can't do that. I can't.
That's the other thing. I wish you could do that because I try to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I think it would help me visually.
Let's do FA. So it's like the O is going to be there, right? So what would be a word here? FA. Maybe the A is not a second letter, but.
Oh, Shelly's in a different time zone, so she's already got tomorrow's Wordle.
Oh, what? Is that how time works?
I guess so. Because they put it out at midnight our time.
I don't know when they put it up. I have no idea. I didn't guess R yet. Pharaoh. Is that a word? That might not be a word.
Pharaoh is with PH. Like the Pharaoh of Egypt?
No, like Pharaoh, like the food. Is that how you spell Pharaoh? No, that's not how you spell Pharaoh. I don't know. FA, What's my J school? My journalism skills.
I think Pharaoh you're trying to spell is with an E at the end.
Probably. My deadline is because we have Jesse coming on. Wait, do we confirm with Jesse? We don't know. Okay.
He's either joining or he's not.
Jesse, if you're out there and we didn't confirm with you, I'm sorry, man.
He's either joining or he's not.
All right.
I mean,
FA. Oh wait. Oh no, that wouldn't be right. Oh, there's no U.
All right, you're running against the clock.
Sorry, I know.
We gotta get a guess.
Oh, Fargo? Is that what someone said? Well, I know the O is not the last letter. I'll do that. I'll do Fargo. You can't guess. You can't guess proper nouns.
No.
This is a terrible guess, but I'm running up against the clock. Okay. So, F-A. And I know my O has to be here. F-A-J-O. F-A. Fago? That'd be funny. That's a proper noun. Fano, Famo. I don't know. Do we have anything from the chat?
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, favor. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, I had help. Who got that? Voodoo? Good job.
Wait, I'll show you just for fun. I'll show you my. I don't know why my.
I cheated. That wasn't. It's not fun to cheat.
I might be. I don't even know if I'm on the right website.
I don't feel good about that.
I don't even know if I'm on the right website because mine looks different than yours.
Whatever. Who cares?
But this is how I got mine.
Oh wow.
I got. Well, I knew. I knew the A and the O and the R were here, but I had no clue there was like a V in there or an F.
V's tough.
And I just was like, well, what word could this be? But I was looking at the letters that I had left.
Yeah.
And just randomly guessed favor, which happened to be right. But the reason I did two different words up top here, Spencer. I didn't do the after round, which I was just like, that's boring if I started off with the same.
Start with audio. It's got 4 different vowels.
That's good, but I think it's almost more fun to just literally start. I was like, all right, whatever the first 5-letter word bursts into my mind is what I'm gonna put, and then it was burst, and then I went from there.
Yeah.
I think it makes it a little bit more challenging.
All right. Today's segment brought to you by the letter F. And tomorrow, who knows? All right. Let's check in on the market here. Somebody asked about the crypto heat map. We already went over that. It's green. That's all you need to know about the crypto heat map. It's green today. I want to look at Delta Airlines quickly here because they report earnings. Where's my Benzinga Pro? Let's get that up on the screen.
Oh, hold on, Spencer. I'm getting a call, and I don't know who this is.
Okay. You can go take that. Delta Airlines reports earnings tomorrow morning. This is like the unofficial start of the earnings season. I say unofficial because there is no official start to earnings season. But Delta Airlines tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's do that. So, airlines. Here, let's for fun. Let's just compare this. Let's just bring up. Let's just compare it to. No, forget that. Let's compare it to the SPY. And the Qs. Let's get American off this chart. Okay, so here's what we got. Okay. Zoom in here. All right, so it's had a little bit of a run the past month. Let's zoom way in. We could just see it is outperforming both indexes in the last 4 weeks or so. No notable run this week. Typically, sometimes you'll see stock run up into the week of its report, the week or two prior. Nothing really notable in Delta Airlines this year so far. As far as post earnings volatility, so I'm going to pull up this other chart that I have here, and I'm just going to look for a second and see how Delta behaves after its earnings report. There's really no patterns. There's really no patterns here. It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip here as far as whether Delta will go higher or lower after its earnings report. No real trend to speak of, which is not helpful in any way, shape, or form. I realize. Here on this note, that's a good point. Actually, Ryan, I don't actually know. Let's go to the calendar and let's check. Because beyond Delta, I haven't looked. So earnings calendar, tomorrow's the 13th. Who do we got? Delta, Taiwan Semi, and that's all that I care about. Let's just go rest of week. Let's do tomorrow and Friday. And see what we got. Friday is BlackRock. Fridays, Wells Fargo and JP Morgan and Citi. So Fridays we got some banks. All right. So Taiwan Semi is also tomorrow morning. I don't know what to say about this Delta chart, honestly. We're sort of in like no man's land, I feel like. If you just zoom out on the daily. I feel like, let me just say this. I feel like if it dips, probably wouldn't be the worst buy, and if it rallies, it wouldn't be the worst sell. That's sort of where my head is at right now. I don't feel convicted on this either way, unfortunately. They're probably going to say the same thing that all the airlines said, which is like, we're going to get back to profitability this year or next year, right? Isn't that what all the airlines have said this entire time? So let's just, before we move away from the chart, let's just compare it to its pre-COVID level. We can pull up a weekly. Okay, so you can see here, we never made it back to February 2020 levels. We don't have. I
don't think any airline has.
No, they haven't. Oh wait, I should not say that because I don't know, but we don't have to get back there. In Delta's case, it'll be like 57 or 60. We don't have to get back there. There's no rule saying we have to get back there.
Alaska Airlines actually did.
I feel like if anyone's going to do it, it'd be Save. That was your best performing airline, I feel like, heading into the pandemic. How does Save look? Oh, it was close. It almost got there.
Alaska's did, and then it gave up those gains. I don't know. I think this is interesting to talk about this because when you had the SPY up with Delta Airlines, you could see kind of there. You could assume, you could have a reasonable assumption that eventually there will be kind of that reversion to the S&P average. But I think right now it would behoove us, Spencer, to kind of like go through these, not right now, but actually do some due diligence on the different airlines and see like who's really in the best position. Because they're not going anywhere. The airlines aren't going anywhere. Like they're going to be here. They're going to be making money eventually. So it's all about, which one's in the best position right now.
Well, so I just went through a couple here very quickly. Look at LUV here. Let's pull them up together. And I don't want to do like a fundamental deep dive on PRASM and TRASM and all these airline metrics right now. But let's look at LUV. Let's compare it to JetBlue. Let's compare it to Spirit. And because Delta's tomorrow, we'll compare it to Delta. And then you mentioned ALK. We'll do ALK as well. Okay. Some of these made it back to their pre-COVID levels, right? LUV made it back, right, last spring. Alaska and JetBlue made it back, they made it back at the same time, right? So those are the three that actually got back to their pre-COVID levels. Delta never did, United never did, Spirit never did. I'm not sure about it. Let's do Hawaiian. Let's do the smaller regional ones. HA. It's hard to see on there, but HA never did either. Oh wait, did it?
I also have I have an exercise. I want not like a physical exercise, but like an activity. I don't know. Exercise I want the chat to do.
So I don't know. I don't have the conviction here on Delta, just to wrap up that conversation. If anyone in the chat has an opinion, I'm all ears because I kind of got nothing here. I just wanted to bring it up just because it reports tomorrow morning. But fundamentally, the whole industry, I feel like, would be not one. There's probably better places to put your money. That's where my head's at. Well, what's your exercise?
I want everyone to post a stock that they're either in or they like that they're also a customer of. I'll start, and once you see it in the chat, you cannot do it. I'll start Apple. You can see my MacBook right here. I'm in the stock. It's a company I'm a customer of.
Okay, a company that you own and you also will pay them.
Exactly. You can own them, or you could just be like bullish, I guess, if you don't have an open position. Bonus points if you own the company. All right, RGR. I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's a
Next one, Clark.
That is a good one.
That was a great one, actually. Clark, I'm not a gun owner, so I asked more out of curiosity. But how much do you spend on ammo? Just
And what do you have? Do you have like a Ruger pistol? Do you have a?
Because all I ever hear from gun owners, well, among the other things, is like how expensive ammo is, right?
All right, Master of Stonks. I thought we'd see this one Disney, so what I want to know is, are you
pay them.
huh?
No, I was gonna say Disney too, but I don't actually pay Disney anything.
You're not like a Disney. That's what I was gonna ask. Are you a Disney Plus subscriber, or do you just
I mooch,
or do you go to Disney World? Like how are you
a
customer of Disney?
Oh, I guess. Oh no, that wouldn't be one either. This is hard for me, man.
Sundial. It doesn't Sundial make like cultivation, like tractors for marijuana?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
I think that's what Sundial does. They make like. That's what I think. I don't know.
Jadid says space. Virgin Galactic. Jadid, are you a customer? Are you on the wait list? If you are, congratulations.
Coca-Cola. That's a good one. PayPal. I could have done that because I have a Venmo account.
I don't know if I don't have any.
Oh, Clark pays about $100 in ammo to go to the range. That's expensive. But if you do it like once, if you do it like once a couple months,
yeah. Can I tell you, because we're off on Monday, right? So I was thinking about going skiing this weekend, and then I was like, oh, it's so expensive.
I was actually talking about that last night too, and I kind of, because there are places in northern Michigan you can go like for the weekend, but after like breaking it all down, and it's like, all right, if we go up here and get an Airbnb for 2 nights and go skiing, it's going to be like X amount of money, and I'd rather save that, $500 or whatever it would be toward like an actual ski trip to Colorado versus just going up to northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Although I've never been skiing up in northern Michigan.
Well,
so
I was thinking like just going locally, but even just like go for the day and the equipment and the lift ticket is just whatever. But and also PSA, markets in the U.S. are closed on Monday, so we will not be here. So if you show up, you will not see anything. Intel, Nvidia is a good one. Nutrien, I've seen Google. I saw PayPal earlier, Coke. I think I saw Honda, Pepsi, SWBI, Vizio. All right, this is a good exercise. I don't really know if I have one, honestly, that I was subsequently a customer of and bullish. That's weird. Good one though. Okay, I don't know where Jesse is. I'm assuming I don't know if we ever even confirmed with Jesse. If we didn't, I apologize to Jesse. But I'm shooting a text right now. And no, I was gonna do TSM. That's what I wanted to do before I got distracted. Taiwan Semi, because they also report tomorrow.
Who else? I'm trying to see if we have any other good ones.
Oh my gosh, look at this Semi. I mean, these semis have been so strong.
Amazon. That was one that I haven't. I thought we'd see right away. That we didn't see for
so I don't own Amazon like stock. I own it via like an ETF. So if you're gonna go off that, then yeah, obviously I own the market.
That doesn't count.
I guess I could say what was it? It was Cresco. Well, they're not really in Michigan. I don't know. Maybe some cannabis. Anyway, Taiwan Semi. Obviously the semis have been hot. Let's see if I can look up what the stock historically does out of its earnings reports, and let's see what we can extrapolate here. So Taiwan Semi, this platform always logs me out. Give me a second. Okay, Taiwan Semi. Okay, it is. More like it's basically twice as likely to trade higher than it is to trade lower in the days and week and up to 2 weeks after its earnings report. So basically, really in the 1 day to 1 week period. So looking at Taiwan Semi, and you're going back to the last 3 years, it's twice as likely to trade higher it'll be twice likely to close higher on Friday, and also to end up closing higher next Thursday after the close, or by the close on Thursday, based on the last 3 years of data. So it does trade higher after its reports in the 1 day to 1 week span more often than not. So that's interesting. As far as how much it trades higher, it's not a lot. It doesn't trade higher by a lot. It trades higher on average, like less than 1%, right, over that span. But it is more likely than not to trade higher after earnings based on the last 3 years.
Ooh, Bull Bear Jeff might win. He owns Pfizer, and he's got Pfizer in his arm.
It's a good one. You know what I was thinking about the vaccines yesterday? I was like half kidding, but half not. If you're going to get like the vaccine and the booster and all that stuff, wouldn't it behoove you to get a different one every time just to diversify?
No, that they've come out and said that.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was the first person.
No, that you actually have like better efficacy on the booster if you get the Moderna booster if you got the Pfizer vaccine or vice versa.
I did not know this.
I was trying to find this the other day because I saw an interesting like infographic that laid it out, the efficacy of the booster shots and the vaccines based on like which ones you got initially. Like if you got your first dose, Moderna, your second dose Pfizer, and your booster shot was Johnson. Like they did every single possibility and kind of the data.
Oh, can we get a takeaway from that? I would love to see which was the best, which combo.
Which combo? I think it was something like you wouldn't have expected. Like I think it was like if you got the. Yeah, I think it was like if you got like the Johnson & Johnson initially, but then like the Moderna booster or something.
That's
like that.
me. Hey, can I borrow your charger?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, man. My computer is about to die.
All good.
All right. That's better. All right.
Let's see. Any other good? Oh, I wanted to talk about the. Someone said Sony. Daryl said Sony was my first stock and one of the biggest gainers since PS1 and the Walkman. I think that's like actually a good. I mean, it's very anecdotal, but like a lot of times, if you just pick a stock that you're like a customer of and hold on to it for a long time. I mean, my family. We kind of did that with Apple. Like I remember my dad had bought Apple stock like very early in the 2000s, and it was all because he saw like how obsessed we were with our iPods and stuff. So sometimes it's, it's the KISS acronym that we talked about, right? Keep it simple, stupid. If you're a customer of a company, it's probably for a good reason. You like the product or you like the service, buy the stock.
That's something that I wish my dad had done with me. I wish he had sat down when I was like in middle school or junior high or whatever and said, okay, pick a product that you like and we're gonna buy that stock and we're gonna watch it together. Yeah. But we didn't do that.
We did that. My dad and I did that with SanDisk because when I was in like 4th grade, I brought home like a thumb drive from school and plugged it into our computer and like pulled up my PowerPoint that I made at school, and he was like looking at this little thing and had no clue how it worked, but was so amazed by it. He bought SanDisk and made like a bunch of money off of it. And I was like 12. I was like, "Where's my commission? You know, I should get a little bit of that."
Does anyone know what the SanDisk ticker is?
It was SDSK, but it's not in existence anymore.
Well, but it might still be like randomly OTC.
I don't think so. I think they got bought out.
Oh, did they get bought out?
I could be wrong. I have no clue.
SNDK
maybe.
No,
but then
it's gone.
My dad actually, like, it was funny because, like, he was trading options, too, and I remember being like, oh, can you teach me, like, what are options? When I was, like, 14 or 15, and he was like, oh, no, when you're older. And now I know.
Wait, someone said to do a long-term monthly chart on Sony. Yeah, okay, fine. That's fair. That's fair. Fair criticism on Sony. You never made it back, Aaron. .com bubble. You never got there. You're close, though. You're awfully close. I don't know what Sony's dividend is, or if it has one, but at least on a chart basis, congratulations if you held this.
But if you would have bought right when like the PS3 came out,
which was when,
let's look up.
Well, the PS2 was like 04, I think.
Oh no, PS2 was way before that.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I want to say PlayStation 2 was like 01.
All right.
Oh, okay. PlayStation 2 released in Japan March 4th, 2000.
Oh wow, I was way off.
I'm gonna guess PlayStation 3 was 09. PlayStation 3 released in 06.
06. All right, let's just call it. We'll just do June, even though it was probably the holiday season. So let's do November of 06. All right, nice.
Yeah.
If you could hold through all that crap, 2012, 2013, hodl. But anyway, that's a fun exercise. I love looking at long-term charts.
Yeah, Bull Bear is saying it looks like Microsoft's. I mean, I think
Absolutely, it does.
I think Microsoft and Sony kind of.
That's a great observation. You want to compare the two? Microsoft in 2015 was when I think it made it back to its .com peak. Yeah, this is not helpful, but like the general shape, we need to get a log chart on here, but the general shape is the same, right? Even if Microsoft has left Sony in the dust. But anyway, fun exercise to do right now. Okay. What else do we have going on here? What else was on the list to discuss on for the day? We talked about the inflation. We talked about Sheeb. We talked about Delta. I wanted to hit. What else did I want to hit on today? I'm going through my mental list here.
Yeah, there was something else.
Biogen I hit on. There was another stock. Oh yeah, I want to talk about China. So I've sort of planted my flag on the China front that I don't want to like change my mind just because China stocks go up a little bit, so I'm not going to. But that being said, what would you do here? Let's just pull up Alibaba, right? Let's just say
buy.
Let's just say you're not me. You're not just like
buy.
Totally just planted the flag against China right now. But you've got these Chinese stocks all trending higher today because their inflation is not as bad, so they say, as the market thought it would be. So on Alibaba, like, we always say don't catch a falling knife, right? If you're buying it now, you're not catching a falling knife, right? Because we are substantially off the lows, right? The low was like 112. We're at 136 right now. So there's a part of me that's like, if you're buying now, you're doing it backwards. You're buying after the run up. You want to buy it before the run up. But the other part of me is like, for a longer term position, if you want to use this as like a buying opportunity, you could do that, and you have some sort of a risk management at 120 or right or somewhere in thereabouts. Like, this is not the worst idea. This is probably not the worst spot to buy it. I can't buy it because I just can't. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many unknowns here. But this is probably not like the worst thing to do. Is sort of my take on China right now, and I haven't said that for a while. Now that being said, you also could have said that October of last year, right? And if you bought up there, this is why we have stops, right? Maybe you stop yourself out at, maybe you had to stop at like the 140s, and then you avoided when it got down to like 112. But that's just kind of my general China take. All these charts look identical. I'm not going to criticize anyone for buying Alibaba or JD or Baidu here. Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is the classic case of, nothing like price to change the sentiment. So,
for sure.
A few weeks ago, if we were talking about it, it looks a little bit different now after a few green days. But someone in the chat, who was it? Might have been Bull Bear EEM, the Emerging Markets ETF.
Wait, I brought that up yesterday. Or was that on this show?
I just looked at it for the first time. I'm looking at some of the holdings. TSM is the biggest holding.
Mostly China. Yeah.
Tencent, both Taiwan, Samsung, Alibaba. I want to see some exposure to India in here because pre-COVID, India's economy was actually growing at a faster pace than China's. So there's also INDA, which is iShares India ETF. So if we're talking emerging markets, I do think
it's just been a terrible investment. This is a monthly. It's just been a horrible investment, right? If you've had this thing,
until it's not though.
What?
I said until it's not.
Right, of course. But like stack this up against the SPY, it's just been terrible. Yeah. Not even bad. The U.S. has been amazing, right?
Who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just the case of the rich get richer and the big companies continue to grow bigger.
Yeah. I mean, if you go since the financial crisis in 2007, just not even a contest. And I think everyone should have some international exposure. Unfortunately, it's been a drag. But that's the way it goes. Pierre asked about NEO, right?
Speaking of emerging markets,
yeah,
got EV and China all wrapped into one stock.
Boom. Neo's up 4.5% today.
This is actually. Wait, let me check. Let me make sure. Let me see if I still do.
Yeah, again, if you wanted to buy it now, like this would be for a trade or for an investment, I suppose. You have an out, right? I like having some sort of a risk control, a risk plan, right? When you go in, some sort of an exit strategy. So you have an exit plan here. You have a series of lows. They're all around the $27 area, right? So maybe, if you're not into hard stops, a physical stop, you can do a mental stop or whatever. But like you can buy it now, and you stop yourself out at 26, right? That's not the worst. You're risking $5. At least you have an out. That's not the worst setup.
I was checking to make sure I still do because I want to be upfront and transparent.
Yeah.
I do hold Neo in my Roth IRA.
Oh, damn, man.
Yeah, I mean, my Roth is where I put stocks that I like, long term, obviously, like 5-10 years down the road. And I have Neo in there. My cost basis was $57 a share.
Oh, okay.
I'm down.
Wait, how many times have you bought it? Just the one?
Just once.
Okay.
That is something I should probably do more in here, is like average down. I also, if someone out there is like a Roth IRA expert, I have no clue. So I know I can trade in here in the Roth. Mm-hmm. So if I sell, like my Nvidia position is up more than 100%. If I trimmed my Nvidia position, but then didn't take any of the money out of the Roth, would I have to pay capital gains tax on that? Or is it only if I withdraw the money? Or can I trim some of my Nvidia position and then just put it into something else? Like maybe I lower my cost basis into Neo. Spencer's thinking. He doesn't know. But someone in the chat might know.
I mean, I don't trade my Roth account, so I have no idea.
But some people do, and people can trade options.
Jay says it's not. A few people saying it's not taxable. So yeah, you're not going to get taxed. Right. The gains are not taxed. So that's,
well, caveat, they would be taxed if I pulled them out like before I'm supposed to.
Right, 55, right? I think is
right.
Yeah.
But basically, all I'm asking is only if you withdraw. Proton says no tax, do now.
Right.
That's the point.
So you're not getting. The answer is no. You're not getting. Based on the chat, you're not getting taxed.
Repeat that again, AB. Okay, Hurt Scrambler. Basically, my question was if I sell one of my positions in my Roth, but I don't withdraw the money, it stays in the Roth, and I could reinvest it into something else, or maybe I just let it sit in cash for a second in my Roth. Would I then have to pay capital gains tax on that trade? Which looks like the answer is no.
It appears that you're not going to pay. You're not going to pay that capital gains tax. It's only
maybe that's something I might do. I might trim my Nvidia position, put it, lower my cost basis.
Wait, you're in your Nvidia or Neo? You just said Nvidia.
Nvidia.
Oh, okay.
That's the example I gave because I'm up 100% in my
okay.
Nvidia position, so I could, trim my Nvidia position, put it into Neo, or put it into something else. I really don't want to sell my Nvidia though. It just seems like kind of a smart move while it's up 100%. And then maybe I could buy back in if/when it drops.
Buy back in when it drops. Easier said than done, but yes.
I don't know. I also still have to make. I haven't made like my Roth contribution this year yet, but
I haven't made mine last year.
I've got some time. You've got time. You've got till April 15th to do it.
I know. Maybe we should do like a tax special.
Should I just pull it? Should I just see what's in my Roth and see like what should I cut? What should I trim?
If you want to,
what should I add to? I just don't know if there's a good way for me. I'll just read them out real quick.
Out of curiosity, like, where is your Roth? Like, what
Merrill Edge, just because I have Bank of America as my.
I find, especially with like, so like in my case, did you set up your Roth yourself?
Yeah, it's like all self-directed.
Okay. Like, my dad opened my account for me, but didn't put any money into it.
Classic.
So that's why my Roth is a T Rowe price, which makes no sense to me.
T Rowe price?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
T Rowe price? You ever heard of him? That's the point.
Actually, I've heard like commercials for them on CNBC.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Do you want to share?
I don't know if I have a way to share my screen because I just have the Merrill Edge app on my phone. I can read out my positions real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
We got 5 minutes.
And they're not all weighted the same. So if anyone's curious about like how many shares or how much percentage of my portfolio is in like one name versus the other, just ask me in the chat. But I'll just read through them real quick. Apple up 30% on the position right now. AT&T down 7.5% on the position right now. Blink Charging Co. down 46% on the position right now. Ford Motor Company up 123% on the position. Neo, I mentioned, down 45%. Nvidia,
Big moves here.
up 108%.
Oh my god.
QuantumScape down 51%, and then Southwest Airlines Love down 26%. This is
You got some big. Do you have anything that's flat in
no.
there?
Well, AT&T is the closest, and it's down like 8%.
Oh my goodness.
This all accounts for, and I opened my Roth about a year ago, and this all accounts for about an 18% gain, unrealized gain. So actually underperformed the market, and that's with Ford and Nvidia, which are both up over 100% in the year.
Wow, man, you got some big old movers in there.
I know.
Wait, what I wanted to ask is, are those all equal weighted positions?
No, I mentioned at the beginning.
Oh, you did. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I'm like up, even though the majority of my positions are down, and some of them like Blink, Neo, and QuantumScape are all down more than 45%. But again, I didn't put these names into my Roth because I was like, oh, I think these are going to be up over the next year. I put them in my Roth because I think 10 years from now, QuantumScape could be big. I think Neo could be big 10 years from now. I think Blink Charging Co. could be big 10 years from now. So could I have been better on my timing on a couple of these names? Sure. But yeah, my biggest positions, Spencer, are
Apple,
Nvidia. Apple and Nvidia, correct.
Oh, I just guessed.
Yep.
Good for me.
Nvidia, and I think Nvidia and Apple were like evenly weighted when I put them in, but now Nvidia is a much bigger position because Nvidia has gone up 100% over the last year, while Apple's only gone up 30%.
Software is eating the world.
Some people are telling me to sell T. Some people are telling me to keep T. It's honestly not that big of a position in my portfolio, so it doesn't really matter either way. It's $264 worth of value or 10 shares of AT&T.
I just sorry, this is a little bit off topic, but I was just looking at this Take-Two chart. Do you guys see Take-Two today?
Yeah,
it's staging a rally. It wants to close the gap. It wants to fill the gap from what day is that? Tuesday? No, Monday. Friday. That's Friday.
I texted my buddies when the Zynga deal was on Monday.
Yeah, this gap is from Friday, right? From Friday to Monday, right?
I texted a couple of my buddies that we trade options, and I was like, "Yo, I'm looking at some leaps on Take-Two." Like right when the leg down happened, and all conventional like wisdom, like everything I've learned about the market is like, don't try to catch a falling knife, whatever. So I didn't pull the trigger on the leaps, and of course they would have been up a lot. But I did, Spencer, get into
that Take-Two chart is interesting.
These calls on Take-Two, which are up 95% from when I opened them this morning.
Wow.
So not bad. And that was more for me. I was like, okay, if I see Take-Two, having a couple green days in a row, this is a good sign for me that buyers are coming back in, and they're coming back in strong after the Zynga deal.
You know what? It seems like your problem is you win on the small positions and you lose on the big ones. Is that not right?
I don't know. We can talk to Cowboy about that too. I think I do that with my sports bets too.
He might win the majority, but he loses on the one that matters.
Well, yeah. Like right now, my portfolio. Let me back up here. Go to the main. Yeah, like this, my equity. Let's look at it by equity. I have $88 in this Take-Two call that's up, but then I have $285 in this Facebook call that is down 45%.
Yeah,
hey, it's a learning. This is a learning process. We'll figure it out.
Should we bring on Cowboy?
Let's do it.
Is Cowboy ready?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Cowboy, can we get a thumbs up or something if you're ready?
Yeah.
Oh, he's ready.
He's ready.
All right, guys. So if you don't know Cowboy, maybe you know Cowboy. If you don't, you probably know Brett Simba from Simba Stocks. Cowboy runs Simba Bets, which is Simba Stocks' betting counterpart, you could say. So we're going to be talking about some sports betting.
I'm excited because
UFC starting back up. We got NFL playoffs, basketball's in full swing, lots of things.
And the Olympics. We can talk about the Olympics.
I've never bet on the Olympics.
Well, presumably Cowboy would know.
I'm not opposed to it though.
Yeah, I'm into that sort of thing. All right, I love the Olympics. Let's bring Cowboy on right now.
All right, Cowboy, how we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. It's been too long.
It has been too long. Everyone have a good holiday. Everyone stayed safe. Everyone was good.
I'm in one piece.
Hey, that's it, man. Yeah, no, the Olympics are fantastic. They're a ton of fun to bet on too. You really have to get them. The future bets are where you want to bet on them. Who's going to medal? How many medals? You go back through history. Canada is always a great country to bet on. The most medals. They typically finish in the top three, and they're good value. But yeah, I love the Olympics, and that starts here in 3 weeks, I believe. Yeah, February 4th, correct? And I saw China this morning on the news was taking super extra precautions to make sure it was a COVID-free Olympics. We'll see how well that bides. But I do know Germany hockey. That's a good one to look at, guys. It's funny you mentioned that.
Why?
I was talking to a couple of guys about that. Because NHL is not allowing their players to play in the Olympics because of the COVID scare. So Germany doesn't have a lot of players in the NHL. All these other countries are sending their players out to play in the NHL. Well, Germany, they're pretty much all in-house. So they're not going to be drawn. They'll be drawing the same team no matter what. And I think you get those at 3-1 right now. So that's a good odds to win a gold medal, in my opinion. So that's something to look at right there.
I'll be rooting for the U.S. We'll have all the college kids out there. It'll be back in the day when Olympic players weren't allowed. But yeah, I mean, if you think about the makeup of the NHL, you're right. It's mostly U.S., Canadian, and Russian players. You've got a few Finnish and Swedish players in there as well.
You got. What's it called? What's it called? The
Nordic.
Thank you. The Nordic countries.
You're welcome.
They're all fantastic.
The Czechs.
So wait, before we get real deep into the sports, Cowboy, you trade too, right? Stock market?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every day. It's funny you mentioned that. I was just yesterday literally started rebuilding a position other than my hodl position in crypto too. So I caught that dip, perfectly timed that actually. Lucky little assistance from Brett there too. But that's been fantastic. But yeah, man, we're just cruising on this pump right now. This is crypto pump, and then the tech's making a little bit of a rally too. So good to see that coming back too. But I think we're at the bottom of the channel, and it seems like we're still heading in the up direction. It's still an overall bull market. So my biggest position of holding, I did see you had take two. I actually was in coin this morning and I got out of it, but that was one that I had Brett actually signaled that for a killer swing, and we 4 times our money on that. Coin was a great one, but yeah, absolutely. I'm in with you guys. I was actually watching you guys a little bit on my in my living room a little bit ago.
Beautiful. I was just curious if you had any trades that you were recently into. So Coinbase sounds like if you've got anything else you're looking at, let us know.
I'm looking at Etsy right now. Etsy in about $10 is going to hit another bottom. That's one that I want to start building a position on. If you pull up the 1 year, 169 is where I have it targeted, where it looks like it needs to, where it looks like it can find bottom again, and we can start a long position. That's one that I absolutely love. I think it's still, it is a COVID stock, more or less. A lot of people went on that, but it's looking like it's finding its bottom again. Not quite. You might want to see another $10 down, but you can see right there, 160-ish level. That was a great level of consolidation before that. I think once it gets to that point, let's take a look at it and start a position there.
Interesting. Yeah, this is I hear about Etsy all the time, but I honestly don't know the platform or the company very well. But yeah, just from a chart perspective, it looks like we could get beaten down to that point where buyers start coming in, and then we can ride that upswing up. So we'll have to add that to our watch list.
We're at the first level. That's that right now is a level. I mean, you can see clear on the chart. We bounced off it 3 times here. So I'm still going to wait for confirmation. I think you're going to see that 160 level. I would wait for that to start a position. But absolutely, that was one that I had circled on my. That's one that I had circled on my watch list. We're almost to my alert where I would start a position on it.
Someone's talking about Shop in the chat. Brett is the Shopify stock king, so I'll defer any trades on Shop to Brett because he'll have a better idea.
That guy, that's his baby. That's his ex-girlfriend.
He's like, there are traders out there, and Cowboy, we do this. We talk to traders and investors every day. There are guys out there that, I kid you not, make their whole living just trading 1 or 2 stocks up and down.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, if you know
smart.
it, you
Why
know
wouldn't
it.
You?
Yeah, if it ain't
Why
broke,
wouldn't
don't
you?
fix it.
I mean, it's funny, kind of paralleling it and transitioning it to sports just a little bit. It's the same thing. The Spurs are playing tonight. I'm going to take them in the first quarter. They're the best first quarter team in the NBA, and we've made a substantial amount of money on just taking them in the first quarter. They cover the first quarter 77% of the time. So same thing in the stock market. Why branch into other arenas that you're not comfortable with? One thing that you see is you see people saying, "Hey, why aren't we taking a trade on MU? Why are we not taking a trade on XYZ?" And it's like, why would you want to take a trade on that when you have somebody like Brett who's a killer, and no, he'll take his trade on Shop, he'll take his trade elsewhere. It's something that he's familiar with that he knows. There's no point into getting something out of your comfort zone. Why waste your resources and energy looking at something that you're not comfortable with or familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, like anything else, you hit it right, nail on the head there. Just stick with what you know. So with that being said, Cowboy, let's transition into some sports. Again, for anyone who's new with us, new with Cowboy, Cowboy's been a UFC guy for what, 10, 12 years now?
20 years, man. 20 years.
Wow.
Back in the day where it was started when it was open weight class, but really didn't start. NFL first, NBA, and then UFC didn't take off till like 2005, 2006 when it became more readily available to actually bet on. It was pretty difficult to bet on in Oregon in 2000. But definitely had the illegal cable jammer back in the day and watched those all, and been following it since. And trusty notebooks, and
that was back when it was excited. What, just on Spike TV.
Spike TV. Oh, well, it was actually on what's it called? Only. It was pay-per-views. You had to have a descrambler in the early 90s. So, but 2005, yeah, it was on Spike TV. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, here, I'll pull up my screen. I've just got the Bovada website up. So depending on where y'all are watching this from, you've got different places you can bet on sport, different apps, different betting platforms. But I'm just going to use Bovada just to look at the lines. And, let's just rip through. You mentioned you got Spurs first quarter tonight, some basketball games. I also want to make sure maybe here in about 10 minutes or so we can get into some football, just previewing the NFL playoffs, because coming up this weekend, we have the NFL Super Wild Card Weekend, I believe they're calling it. The very first of its kind. The first time ever in NFL history we'll have a playoff game on Monday night. So I don't know about you, Cowboy, but I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, dude, I love it. We absolutely destroyed Week 18 too. A player prop central right there. It was a blessing in disguise to see all these people that had needed contract incentives, and we absolutely destroyed it. But yeah, moving on to UFC first. Basketball, yeah, right here. Spurs. There's two plays that you can look at. Strictly following trends, which is what we've been doing and doing really well. The Knicks are the worst first quarter home team in the NBA. They're playing the Mavericks. The Mavericks are a decent first quarter team. They're an amazing first half team. There's two bets to be looked at there. You could take Spurs. You could take the Mavericks first half -1. You could take them first quarter -0.5. Either one of those, I like those a lot. The Knicks that's fade the Knicks right there, plain and simple. They're terrible. They are the worst home first quarter team in the NBA. So -0.5 is a beautiful play right there. I love that. You get -125 on the money line if you want to protect that. But I'm sure they'll be up by 4 or 5 after the first quarter. Anyways, and then first half, Mavericks are even a better first half team with or without Luka. It doesn't matter. But then Spurs at home are a machine in the first quarter. I like in the NBA. I do like taking the first quarter, first half bets a lot. It's a lot easier to track. It's a lot easier to trend. You don't have which player is going to be on the court for predominantly the majority of the time. The starting five is going to hang out there for a minute. And -2, absolutely beautiful. Look, you can see the lines moving already. That's one right there. That's signal for our premium members only. That's something that we're going to be getting in on. That's a great play. And the Rockets, they're trending down fast too. They're a terrible first half team, but first quarter Spurs, beautiful play.
I don't even know. Let me look at I can't name anyone on the Rockets roster. Oh, they got Jalen Green, of course.
Chris Wood.
John Wall's on the roster, but John Wall's not playing. He's not playing, is he? That's right.
No. Their best player is probably Chris Wood. Eric Gordon's been playing decent, but they're just giving up a ton of points as of right. They're not a good basketball team, unfortunately, and I don't think it's changing anytime soon.
Yeah. Before I don't know if you have other picks in the NBA or basketball. Before we get to that, I see a comment in the chat. This is from Tiny Pie. I believe he's in Sacramento. Is saying he's here for gambling tips. He said he had 5 out of 6 on his parlay last night. Suns Raptors let me down. I had over 223. I know nothing about the NBA. They were guesses. So, Cowboy, what's your take on kind of parlays in general?
Parlays are a lot of people want that quick get rich fast, and parlays are a great way to do it. But you got to have educated picks here, guys. I can already tell you, from reading charts every day, Suns and over don't mix. Suns are the best, third best defensive team in the NBA. I would not touch them with an over ever unless it was significantly lower. 223 is a lot of points in today's NBA. Scoring's way down this year in comparison. There's a new basketball that the players don't like. The 3-point rule where you can't lean into shooters is free. I mean, you got guys like Damian Lillard and Trae Young who they're still great players, but their scoring is way down because they relied on getting fouled. So, the Suns, that one right there, that was an unfortunate play. But parlays, guys, they're strictly, look at them this way. Here's a great way to translate them into stocks. Look at them as buying an outside the money call on a Thursday. That's exactly what parlays are. Sure, you can be as educated as you want, but it is high risk, high reward for a reason. So outside the money weekly call on a Thursday is the exact parallel is playing a parlay. Don't plan on cashing. You're going to be a lot better if you play straight bets. That's specifically what we try to educate people in. And you're a lot better if you play less bets. 2 to 3 really good bets a day is a lot better to do than 8 to 10 plays. Because think about it, guys. If you take 10 plays and you go 6 and 4, you netted 2 plays. You were essentially 2-0, but you put out a lot of money out there to get those 2 units back. Well, if you just went 2-0, you eliminate the stress of all that, and you have your money still in your bankroll. So less is more. Parlays are great, but just use them with caution and bet small with them. We advise our clients to only do 25% of a unit at most on parlays, unless it's a 2-teamer parlay. 2-team parlays are fine. You can usually get good value there. But if you're going 3, 4, 5, 6 teams, just tread with caution, guys. That's all.
Yeah, I love that analogy, parlays to options, because a lot of synergies there, right? Like, I know, like you said, if I'm buying an out of the money call option for $100, I know there's a very strong possibility, right? More than likely than not, this is going to be, if it's a Thursday afternoon, that this is going to be worthless by market close tomorrow. But there's that small chance that $100 turns into $1,000, and I'm willing to take on that risk. So as long as you define that risk up front and you say, okay, I'm willing to spend $20 on this parlay, this 5-leg parlay to win $500, whatever it is. Yeah, just know up front that, hey, this isn't likely. This isn't, going to happen for sure. But if it does, then great. And I also agree 100% with the, stick to like 2 or 3 good picks. And if you put those 2 or 3 good picks in a parlay, let's just do this example. Say you have 3 picks, right? $100 each. Say that's your unit. $100 on each. You go 2 and 1, and you also put all 3 into a parlay that you maybe put half a unit on, $50. Well, you go up $100 on going 2 and 1 on the picks. You lose half of that on the parlay, but you're still up $50. Like, that's like I would think would be like a responsible way to kind of mix in some parlays, a way to try to hit a home run without really putting yourself at like a risk disadvantage.
That's exactly it. You got it exactly right, AB. I mean, that's just it's risk management, and risk management in every facet of life, and it's no different in sports betting. Make sure you're taking the adequate. Make sure when you're going heavy, and you know what the other thing too is a lot of these handicappers will tell you, oh, this is a 5-unit supermax play. No, don't do that, guys. Your bets should all be the same. I mean, yes, you can take a chance. You can say, okay, I'm going to go a little heavier. There's times I'll go 3 units at the most, but these guys that do these 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 unit max, you lose that, you essentially have to win the next 10 in a row. And I don't know, we've all had days where we've won 10 in a row, but you can't bank on winning 10 in a row. Vegas doesn't even win 10 in a row. So why the hell do you think I'm going to be better than Vegas? I mean, that's an unrealistic expectation. So, but yeah, moving on to UFC, I am super excited to be back. AB, I told you, I texted you, I told you Oliveira, and you said I can't bet against Poirier, and you didn't listen. So, Oliveira, I told you.
I said, that's my guy. I can't do it, and I didn't do it. So why were we on a hiatus from UFC?
They just do it. It's just an annual thing. They take off. They take off a holiday season. They run so busy, and it's been about a month now since they've had their last UFC event. It's just that's their season. They just take it off. They're done. So they do a New Year's Eve. It was a couple years ago they did a New Year's Eve one. But other than that, I haven't seen it. That's just for their time off. Take time to rest, heal, or reorganize. So, but we have 2 amazing cards coming up in the next 2 weeks. This one here, Giga Chikadis versus Calvin Kattar as the main event here. And I'm telling you right now, this is the classic young talent stepping up in competition. And Catter, even though he's plus 200, plus 185 now, right there, third one up right there. Calvin Catter is going to win this fight, guys. This is a classic step up in competition. Giga has beat everybody. He's KO'd the last 3 opponents he's had. He's beat everybody in front of him. His most impressive win, I guess, would be Edson Barboza. But Edson Barboza, this isn't 2016 anymore, guys. He's lost right there. He's lost 3 of his last. He's only won 3 of his last 9 fights. So if that's Giga Chikadi's key win, I'm comfortable taking Calvin Catter, even though he did just get his face beaten by Max Holloway last year. But everyone loses to Max Holloway. You can't count that as a significant loss. I think this is the classic step up in competition. Calvin Catter is going to catch him. Giga Chikadis is long. He keeps people at distance, but if you can get close, and Edson Barboza did knock him a couple times. If you can get close, which Calvin Catter is very good at close hand-to-hand combat, if you can get close to Giga, he is taken down. You can KO him. You can defeat him. So I'm going with the upset in the main event. That's my pick. I definitely think that there's a lot of value there at plus 195. And I love getting Calvin Catter as a dog, a guy that's 22-5 and been in UFC for 10 years against a young up-and-comer.
Wait, so this is the main event?
That's the main event, yes, sir.
So when's the Ngannou fight the following week?
Ngannou Ngannou and Gane fight the following week
on the 22nd.
On the 22nd, yeah.
And you like Gagne in this fight, right?
Yep, love him. It's a different world we're in right now. Cyril Gane is, Francis Ngannou is, heavyweight. You can knock people out. Francis Ngannou is, quite frankly, one of the scariest human beings on the planet. But UFC has evolved. This isn't 2005 anymore. You get a lot judges, especially now. I don't think it's going to go to the judges anyways. But judges now value more or less control time over striking. And Cyril Gane is a king at pitting people up against the cage and doing his thing. And I think Ngannou is just going to get outclassed. It's a classic case of somebody who's a knockout artist versus somebody who's more well-rounded. And I think that at minus 120, you'll probably see it close at like minus 140, minus 160. So I've already started building a position on Cyril Gane. And I think Ngannou's just going to get outclassed, plain and simple. It's just the evolution of MMA at this point.
Yeah, and any time, just in general, if you get into a line like this at minus 120 and you see it over time move further in your direction, so it becomes 130 or 145, then that's a great sign for you, right?
Typically, yeah, you're seeing the heavy money come in, and I do like to see where the amount of bets are too. We've been running money reports quite a lot. We have access to a private server that provides us money reports, and we're finding a lot of parallel that if you're seeing, say, let's just use roundabout numbers. Say there's 100 bets placed, and 70% of the 70 bets are placed on the over, and 30 bets are placed on the under. But you see that the amount of money is following the under. That's a good sign because smart money is where you want to be. You want to be on the smart money side. So you see that discrepancy, fade the public thing. We've had this conversation in the past. I don't put a ton of stock in that, but there is a parallel where you want to follow the money as well. Guys like you and I, or other people who are betting, $100, $200, $300, a fight, we don't make a dent in this thing. You want to follow the guys that are putting $20,000, $30,000 on this thing. They're making a huge living on it with huge knowledge. So that's something that we've been using to our advantage is the money reports, and that's been that's been absolutely key and crucial to our success lately, especially with football. Football, the money reports are key in football. You see that happen late. You see it happen, and we've been following those significantly. You're already seeing a ton of money come in on the Raiders, which that line has already moved from I think it's to 5 now. The Bengals were opened at 6, and now it's down to 5.
Yeah, and we'll get to football in a sec. I'm just catching up on the chat right now. Mm-hmm. Someone said, "Oh, holy cow!" Tiny, but the guy that was talking about his parlay earlier said his best was a multi-sport 14-pick parlay, 5 figures off $10. Well, congratulations. If that happens again, I don't know. That's
let me in next time, man. Let me in. That's
let me in next time. Tiny Pie, text me. You got my number. Someone. He also said that Masvidal is getting knocked TF out by Covington. I don't even know when that fight is.
March 5th. They just announced
March 5th.
it.
All right, so
And,
that's down the
yeah,
road. We'll get Cowboy on before then to talk more about that.
I can't wait for that fight, man. Two of the biggest mouthpieces in UFC going at it. That's going to be great.
Daryl saying,
Giga's a great fighter, man. I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he's great, and I think he will eventually get his chance at flyweight to take the belt. But one thing we've noticed in UFC is when you take that step up in competition, he hasn't fought a top 10 guy yet, and he's going from outside the top 10. Now he's number 7 to fight a top 4 guy. It's a huge step up in competition, and when you get down below lightweight, it does make a significance. As light heavyweight and middleweight and things like that, you can make up a lot of that with power. But when you're talking about a more technical division, you can't just knock your way out to the top in these lower divisions. It's just not feasible. I mean, you don't see people do that. You saw, like I said, it's not 2005 anymore, guys. We got to get out of the 2010, 2015. We got to get out of Conor McGregor knocking everybody out. It doesn't work that way anymore, guys. These guys are way more educated, way more trained. It's a different sport now, and so somebody like Calvin Kattar is gonna give him problems. And at plus 200, I love that. That's great. I can get 2 to 1 on my money. I'll take that chance.
The sport's evolving. All right, so we're talking UFC right now. If anyone's got any questions about us about UFC, really about betting in general, just throw them in the chat. We are going to transition here in a minute from UFC to NFL, doing a preview of the NFL playoffs. Again, I mentioned NFL Super Wildcard Weekend this upcoming weekend. First playoff game Saturday afternoon. I believe it's the Bengals game, right? The Saturday?
Bengals Raiders, first game, right off the bat. And you see the money already coming in on the Raiders.
Let's see. James O'Connor from Miami is asking in the chat, Colby's cool with going the distance, no?
Oh, yeah. That's how he wants to win the fight. He absolutely wants to win the fight by going the distance. He's a wrestler. I think he ended up winning a national championship, or at least making a national championship when he was at Oregon State in college. So he's absolutely going to try to grind this thing out. And, once we get to that fight, I can already tell you right now, even if it's not up, Colby's probably going to be like a minus 240, minus 250. And you'll always see that line go up. Masvidal carries a popular vote, but the sport might have passed him. I think his time's up. It happens,
that must be sad for it must be sad for a guy like you who's been watching the sport for 20 years, like seeing some of those legends get to the tail end of their career and continue fighting.
I mean, it's just part of the evolution. You're not going to find guys that can just keep going and keep going and keep going. It happens. You get some of these old guys.
Yeah,
like,
are we going to get
Shogun? He just keeps fighting, and he's 40. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go away. And he's actually, I mean, he actually is still effective. He got his ass kicked, but I mean, at 42 years old, I mean, that's pretty damn good to still get in the octagon.
I wonder who the first Tom Brady of the UFC will be, still at the top of his game at 45 or whatever. I mean, who knows with how health and medicine is developing. We might see people fighting longer and longer down the road.
It might be Usman. It really might be. If Usman keeps the interest, it might be Usman. I mean, that guy's unbeatable at this point. He's never been taken down, even though I do think Colby did. That was a takedown. And in that last Colby Covington and Usman fight, that was a takedown. Even Dan Cormier said that's a takedown. And DC's the best wrestler on the planet. So if he's going to rule it a takedown, it's probably a takedown. But on the record book, he's never been taken down. So Usman might be the guy here at 45, and you're just going, okay, there's nothing we can do. I mean, he's just going to keep winning. There's a couple other fights this weekend. Jake Collier, Chase Sherman, right above there. Jake Collier actually was a light heavyweight, and he was actually a middleweight before that, and now he's fighting at heavyweight. And he purposely put on about 85 pounds of mostly fat. And his first fight at heavyweight, he got rocked by Tom Aspinall. Well, Tom Aspinall's is he's going to be a future champion. He's still young, so you can't put any stock in that. But he did win his next fight, and then he fought Carlos Felipe to a split decision. And what I believe, he got robbed. I think Collier won that fight. So you can get him at minus 134 now. I think that should be closer to like minus 200, minus 250. Chase Sherman listen, Chase Sherman's one of those UFC guys that's going to keep getting these contracts and keep getting knocked out. Now, he's not going to get knocked out, but he's taking these fights for $20,000. And, Chase Sherman's a nobody. Jake Collier, though, I think he's figured out how to fight at heavyweight, and at minus 134, that's a really good price for him right now. It should be closer to minus 200, and he's comfortable in his skin now after being 185 for his first part of his career. Now clocking in at 264.
We talked about those, two leg parlays and stuff. Right here, if you do Calvin and Jake right here, it's plus 415. I don't mind that. I don't mind throwing $20 to win. I can't do math. 80, $20 to win 80 plus 415.
Yeah, 20 to win 80, 20 to return 100.
Not bad.
You put 20 down, you get the $100 bill back. No, it's not bad at all. And that's the right way to do it. Is absolutely throw $20 on it, guys. Throw your lunch money on it. Throw $25 on it.
If you make 100, great.
Sure, absolutely. That's the way to do it. One more fight from this weekend before we move on. Brandon Royval is fighting up above. Both these guys are submission. If you click on the props, I bet you the submission. Brandon Royval inside the distance. Where's the finish by submission? Under. Scroll down.
Oh, method of victory.
I don't want to. Right there, Brandon Royval win by submission. These guys are both submission artists. Brandon Royval. He lost to Brandon Moreno, which there's no shame in losing to Brandon Moreno, and his shoulder popped out of his socket, actually. So that's why he lost. And then he got KO'd last fight in what was his first fight back after getting his shoulder repaired. I think he's probably going to finish this fight. He's an excellent fighter. He's young. He's very long for 145. 145 for 125. So I think he's got a great chance to finish this, and if he does, he's going to finish it by submission. So there's a great play right there. You can also just take inside the distance at even money up above. He's favored for a reason. He's only 2 losses are against superior competition, and while Bontarin is the submission artist himself, you probably could take both these. A good little cheat code here would be to take both of them to win inside the distance. I don't think the fight's going to cards for either one of these guys. They both like to get finishes. So there's something to think about there. Royval's probably going to win it by submission, though. That would be my prediction for that fight. He's far superior. He's faced greater talent. He has lost, but he lost on a separated shoulder. So I mean, how do you even judge that?
Got it. All right, Cowboy, let's get over to football real quick. We might go a couple minutes past 2 today just because I want to make sure we do get everything in football. Actually, wait, before I do that, someone asked to post all the picks that we've talked about in the chat. So remind me again, going back to basketball real quick, we got Mavs first quarter / first half.
Take either or. What the numbers? So the numbers back the Knicks. Numbers back to fade the Knicks first quarter. But the numbers back to take the Mavs first half. I'll probably go first half.
Spurs first quarter as well.
Spurs first quarter. I love that. That's my favorite play in the NBA today.
All right, and then MMA we've got Calvin Catter plus 195. Sorry, I'm just typing this all out in the chat. Plus 195. You got
Jake Collier.
Collier minus 135, and then Brandon Ravel by submission. Cool. All right, let's get over to football.
Super wild card weekend, man! What a joy! We get an extra game of football this year in comparison to everything else. Okay, so what you're seeing right now, let's start at the top. Raiders and Bengals, a lot of money is coming in on the Raiders. That line opened up at 6. It's already down to 5. Raiders are riding a ton of momentum, guys. They've been playing great football. You saw them win last week. They gave up 2 touchdowns at the end, and what everybody thought was a fix. They thought they were going to fix a tie. But the Raiders went and beat the Colts. The Raiders also won their last week. The Raiders have been playing good football, and their defense, they've been doing it with their defense. I like the under here. It's my play. Under 49.5. Playoff football slows down a little bit anyways. And the Raiders, they've been winning with defense, man. And their defense just got healthy against the Colts. And while last week, Justin Herbert, the over still went over. Different teams, man. Different teams. The Bengals do like to throw. Bengals do like to get vertical. But I think the Raiders, 49.5 in a playoff game is an awful lot. So I'm definitely going to take the under there. That's my favorite play for that right there, the Raiders and Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals offense is kind of bipolar. Real quick, just over the past let's say 6 games. Here's how many points the Bengals scored: 22, 23, 15, 41, 34, then back to 21. So I think everyone remembers, the 41 points they put up against the Ravens and then the 34-31 win against the Chiefs. But really, outside of those 2 games, again, the Bengals have scored 22, 23, 15, and 21 points.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to remember that Ravens team was decimated by COVID in week 16, right? Yeah, 3 weeks ago. They were decimated by COVID. They were playing, the game barely even happened. And then the week after the Chiefs, that was the Chiefs. I don't know what the Chiefs are thinking. They reverted back to their old ways, offense. They've been winning so many games with their defense, and they just went back to try to outshoot them. So throw those 2 out, and they're averaging about 23 points a game. Not even, I think 21 points a game. So I like the under there. And more so if you look at what the Raiders have been doing against defenses. Throw that Chargers game out. They had that tied up. They went to prevent defense. The Raiders against the Colts allowed 20 points. Against the Broncos allowed 13 points. Against the Browns allowed 14 points. The Chiefs did give it to them. I'm going to throw that one out. That's variance. Then they allowed 17 to the football team. So, or the Admirals, I guess, is the new logo, right? That got leaked. So, out of the last 5 games, they only allowed one team to go over 20 points. So,
wait, it's I didn't know that. The Admiral.
Well.
I think you can bet on that. Maybe not anymore if it got leaked, but maybe we'll talk about that next week or something.
So yeah, so I like the under in that game. Next, you've got the Bills and the Patriots. That to me is a no bet. I don't think there's any. I'll probably end up finding a prop on there when it's all said and done. I can't see an edge on one side. That 4 is a weird number. Bills are the better team, but the Patriots' success in Buffalo. I mean, how do you and Belichick? So that to me is a stay away game. You don't have to bet on every game, guys. That's not the goal. The goal is to win where you can find wins, and that right there to me is just I don't see the edge on betting on that game in either direction.
Yeah, just like the stock market, you don't need to trade every single stock. You don't need to bet every single game. So if you don't feel an edge, if you don't feel confidently, you don't have high conviction, better just stay away from it.
Yeah, Eagles, Tampa Bay. You probably want to buy that to a touchdown for Tampa Bay. No one's who in the right mind is going to bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. I'm not. You're certainly not. No one is. But the Eagles were his kryptonite. So, I'd probably take that one in a teaser. I would tease that with the Niners in a 6-point teaser would be my 2 favorite teaser plays of the weekend. Yeah, that with the Niners getting 9. I love that. The Niners are a good team. They might win that game outright, actually. But there's your teaser right there. It gets you to minus 120. I think, I definitely believe that the Bucs can win that game by a field goal, and I don't see the Cowboys beating the 49ers by 9 points. This is playoff football. So that to me seems like about the safest tease that you can get to this weekend.
Yeah, so if you do, let's say we do a full touchdown, 7-point teaser, minus 140, you get 49ers plus 10, you get the Bucs minus 1.5. So not
I wouldn't even go that
there.
far. I just go 6. I would just go 6 points, honestly.
6 points.
Yeah,
get
because
120.
the magic number is 2.5 right there. For the Tampa Bay, you get the win on the field goal, and I don't think our metrics don't have the Cowboys as even the favorite in this game. I think San Francisco is going to win the game personally. Cowboys have been fading in the wrong direction. I know they beat the Eagles last week, but the Eagles didn't have their quarterback, and they you can't count Week 18 wins and losses. Anyways, that's kind of a mirage. Moving on to Steelers.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I interrupted you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Cowboys. They're like everyone's like talking about the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. I just don't think they're that good. And the other day when they played Arizona, which Arizona's also kind of been fading, I bet Arizona money line, and that was a good win because, like I said, I just don't think the Cowboys are that good.
Do you know who which cornerback or which defensive back has given up the most yardage this year?
Oh yeah, Diggs on the Cowboys, and he
it's a mirage.
He started like the first 8 games with an interception every game, so everyone was so high on him. But then he's been getting beat in the backfield all the time.
He plays. I don't want to say it's selfish football because he's obviously a very good football player, and he was a receiver and he made the transition from Saban over to cornerback. But he plays for the interception. He doesn't play for the play, and he's going to learn real quick that that's cute and that the stats look good, but coaching staffs, smart coaching staffs, a guy like Belichick wouldn't put up with it. He would just say, I'm going to sell him at peak value because he's not helping the team. Next, Steelers all day here. 13 points in the playoffs, ridiculous. I know that the Chiefs are significantly leaps and bounds and better, but guys, this is playoff football, and this is Big Ben's big last dance. Plus 13 all day long. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think, dude, the Steelers, they keep games close. They've only been blown out twice this year. They're a very competitive football team. I don't know how. They're not great at anything. Ben Roethlisberger sits here. Did you see his final game in Pittsburgh? He was 24 for 52 for 160 yards. So he was averaging like 5 yards a throw. I go, guys,
that was the game that Baker Mayfield was just terrible, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah,
but they still found a way to win. Sometimes you just got to believe in the team itself. And I think 13 points in the playoffs is ridiculous. I'm perfectly comfortable taking 13 points there. I think that's a steal. I think that'll probably drop down closer to 11.
The fact that the Steelers are in the playoffs right now is probably a testament to how good the team is outside of Roethlisberger, more than it is like an indictment on Roethlisberger.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Monday Night Football, Cardinals, Rams. Look at the history, man. I'm going with the Cardinals here. I know they're fading in the wrong direction. I think +4. I actually going to take the Cardinals money line. I think the Cardinals upset them. The Rams are a giant letdown this season. They're 500 since they're 500 in the last 6 weeks. So there's nothing special about them. And while the Cardinals are fading too, I feel like they felt like they had they did have an impressive performance. Their defense stepped up huge against the Cowboys, and that's something to build a lot of momentum off of. Yeah, they had a chance to win the division. Worse the Seahawks, but the Seahawks essentially was their Super Bowl, and the Seahawks have always played well in Arizona, dating back for years. Russell Wilson has always played great in Arizona. It's a rivalry that they just – so I'm not putting much stock in Week 18. We're here now. We're seeing this game Monday night. Cardinals money line. They're the better team from top to bottom. Rams are better talent-wise at the top, but they thin out as you go down the roster.
Yeah, I mean, Rams, of course, they've got the big names, right? You've got Cooper Kupp. You've got Matt Stafford. Now on the defense, you've got Aaron Donald. You've got Von Miller. But like you said, the Rams really haven't been playing great football the past 6 weeks or so. And if you watch the Rams-49ers game over the weekend, I mean, the Rams were killing them, and then the 49ers just came back and really made it a game. So, yeah.
I think Matt Stafford is who he is. I hate to say it, because I respect the guy, but he is who he is. It is. We thought we get out of Detroit, we could change Matt Stafford, but he still led the league in interceptions this year. So he is who he is.
100%. All right, well, that is your preview for the NFL Super Wild Card Weekend, the first of its kind. Cowboy, we got to get you back on again next week. Maybe we'll recap all of our picks from this week. I've written all of them down, I think. Maybe I've missed one or two here or there. But great to have you back on. Again, I'm excited, not only for football this weekend, but we got UFC starting back up, like we mentioned, full swing in basketball. Really a great time for sports betting.
One last thing, South Florida women -5.5 tonight. Take it.
South Florida women.
South Florida women -5.5 right now. Women's basketball is actually probably my best sport right now.
I can attest to that. Cowboys texted me some picks in women's basketball that have done really well. I texted him a fiasco a couple weeks ago where Mizzou, where I went to school, was playing South Carolina, and Mizzou's team was missing all these players from COVID, so I took South Carolina -13.5, and wouldn't you know it, Mizzou won the game outright against the number one team in the country with only 7 players because of their COVID issues. But that's just my luck. That wasn't a Cowboy pick. That was an AB pick that did not work out.
You always you faded your own team, man. I don't know how you do that. You got to back your team.
Dude, I know. That's what I get. That was honestly like karma. But I swear to God, I've bet on and against Mizzou like a lot over the past 5 years, and I swear to God, I lose every single game. Like when I bet on them, they lose. When I bet against them, they win. So,
one more thing before I jump off: get in on a future Texas Tech to win the men's championship right now. Their defense is going to be down now that they're healthy. Their defense, on the metrics, on advanced metrics, is like other world godly, and defense wins championships. So they're probably about 20, 30 to 1. Take a small bite on that. It's definitely worth a bite now. And almost nearly impossible to predict who wins a national championship. But now their guards are so long, and unless you can shoot threes, you can't get down on them. So I love Texas Tech basketball right now.
Got it. All right, Cowboy. Well, thanks again. I'm writing that down too. Texas Tech to win the men's national championship. We've got women's South Florida -5.5. You said that game's tonight?
Tonight, I think it starts at 3. My time, sorry.
Oh.
3 West Coast.
So probably 6 p.m. our time. All right, Cowboy, great to have you back on. Have a great rest of your day. Look forward. If Brett ends up hopping on with us tomorrow or Friday, feel free to hop back on. We can talk some more stocks.
I'll let you know,
we'll do
man.
More stocks.
I appreciate it. So, yeah, Brett said he's in tomorrow. So we'll catch up with it then. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Of course. All right, y'all. That was Cowboy from Simba Bets. I'm going to drop the link to Simba Bets in the chat if you're interested, but we are running late. My fault. I'm sorry. The roadmap is going on right now, already live. I'm going to end this stream, and it'll redirect you automatically to the roadmap. Thank you, Easy Mike. I mean, I know this session is something, sports betting is something different than we normally do. But if you have feedback, please email us, shows@benzinga.com. You want to see more of it, you want to see less of it, whatever it is. I would love the feedback. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Peace and love, y'all.
Let's get ready to